spilled beer on myself. It is Lopez Radio, the podcast. Available on lopezradio.com. And you can follow me on the social medias at Lopez Radio. I also stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Lopez Radio, you know. Joining me today is someone who, we've been friends for probably close to 3 years, if not more at this point. And she's a freshly partnered streamer on Twitch. You can follow her on all the social media at Kerrty Plays. And you can watch her on Twitch, twitch.tv/Kerrty. Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I feel like this has been a long time coming.
I feel like we planned to do this in person, but then COVID happened.
Yes, we did. And then I was just like, we should do that sometime. You're like, yeah, we should do that sometime. And then we just keep kicking the can down the road. But it's good to finally have you on. I'm glad you're here.
Man. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
Twitch partnership. That's huge. You've been streaming for how long?
It'll be 6 years this year.
Damn.
That's a long time.
That's like double my time.
That's a long time to have a goal like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of weird because you were streaming while you were working regular jobs, and then and while you were in between jobs, and then you got back into jobs, and then you were like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going home. I'm gonna start streaming. I'm going home. I'm gonna stream full time. From the time you actually were just like, I'm doing this full time. How long did that take? That was a year-ish? No,
not even. So I got a really lucky break. I was working at a bank, and it was not a good work environment. And it got to the point where I said, screw it. I'm going to go home. At that point, I wasn't making enough money on Twitch at all, but I was a smart ass, and I thought I can find another job quick. It's not going to be a big deal. Like if I quit now, it'll be a couple weeks. I'll have another job. It's no big deal.
It's just a pandemic. It's fine.
I didn't really think about that. So a couple weeks went by, and then a couple more weeks went by, and a couple more weeks went by, and I was like, oh crap, it's harder to find a job than I thought. So while I was home anyways, I was just streaming while I was waiting for jobs, because what else am I going to do? And I was in a very small directory, Hunt Showdown, obviously, you know. And then I got invited to do that event. And then after I did that event in December, so I quit the bank in September, I did the event in December, and then I got partnership 2 months ago? So
yeah.
6 months?
That's yeah.
My partner in about 6 months?
It's nuts. It's well deserved too. I mean, you did work very hard to do that, because I mean it was days of, I mean, I remember sitting, because we've got like a small group that has just been around forever that always are in there hanging out. And I remember sitting
20,
in
30 people that just were always there no matter what.
Yeah, I remember like the BioShock days, the days when you were like, I don't, I'm just going to play a random game. And there was like just the regular folks there. And,
That's it. You just have that couple friends hanging out, having fun.
Yeah. And now like it's grown a ton, which has been great. What has been, because it felt like once you kind of were on that trajectory, I would say like a month or two out from hitting partnership, like I was like, oh yeah, she's definitely going to hit partner. Like you could just see every day I was kind of like, oh, the number's just staying. Like it's not like you get a raid and it goes away. So
which you expect that to happen though. Like you expect it to like, at any point I expected it to go down.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those, you've been doing this for 6 years, right? So you're kind of used to what you're used to. You're used to just having your 20, 30 folks hanging out and that's it.
Exactly.
What has been the big, I guess mindfuck's a bad way to do it. What's been the big adjustment for you, like since that growth?
So as of about a month ago, we were still sitting at about like 100 people. Today we were sitting at about 300 people. So managing that amount of people, I notice now that I'm missing a lot of those conversations with the smaller group that used to be there or when I go back and look at clips or something, I'll see conversations that were had that I didn't even know were happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of stuff makes me feel kind of bad because I still want to interact with those people. A lot of you guys I've created this really good relationship with. We play games off stream. We talk off stream. We hang out in the Discord. We're chatting every day. So there's a lot of those conversations that I'm missing that I wish that I wasn't. And I think that's probably the biggest struggle is that not only are you playing a video game, you're trying to have a conversation with 300 people at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of odd, right? Like there's nothing really like it because I mean you can get used to a few people being in there because we've all grown up, especially if you're into video games. You've grown up like sitting with your brother, sister, friend while you're playing a video game and
while you're playing video games,
talking shit to each other. Like you can get used to that, but it's always like kind of weird to me to think about, okay, now hundreds of people are just kind of sitting around watching me. Like, does it ever get in your head? Like, there's like a few hundred people. Like, not everybody's actively sitting at their computer. Maybe they got you up in the background as noise, just so they can hear something.
At work.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what I've gathered from most of the people that are talking.
Yeah.
I try to keep that number hidden.
Yeah.
The only place that it's displayed is like in a very tiny corner on my far monitor. So like if I really wanted to look, I could look up there and see. But other than that, it's nowhere near. I'd actually have to take my focus off the screen to see it. So I try not to act any differently, whether I've got 5 people or 500 people. Like it's always the same situation. But normally I can tell because of how fast chat is going.
Right. And you can probably confirm that, like I've talked to, several other streamers, including some partnered streamers, and you can probably even agree with them that like I think there's a conception that, or a misconception that once you get to partner, you're done, you've made it. You're like, you're coasting now. Like everything's good. I don't have to work hard anymore. When it's like almost like the opposite, right? Like you're
it's
just
completely the opposite.
Got to work harder at this point. Now you got to keep all those people just hanging out.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the bigger misconceptions is the difference between partner and affiliate is honestly a check mark in your name as of right now. Until you become a very large streamer, you're not able to negotiate contracts or anything. So, I mean, as far as anybody else is concerned, I'm an affiliate. However, now it's my goal more than ever, especially being full-time. I have to have a schedule. Like if people don't know where to find me and when to find me, you don't have that promise of people being there. So I do still have an obligation. Like one day I had a friend who came in town and they're like, well, you can just take the time off, right? Like you're just playing video games. No, I have a schedule. I have people that I am scheduled that I am obligated to, not just my viewers, but sometimes I'm playing with people.
Yeah.
Like other players that I have scheduled weeks in advance. So it's a lot to manage. It is a full-time job. I only stream for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, but off from stream, like I'm still working. I'm still doing YouTube videos. I'm doing editing. I'm making arrangements with other people. I'm checking emails. Like I get emails every single day from different developers wanting me to check out their game or play their game. So I have to take the time and check out the game and see what it entails. And it's a lot.
Yeah. You got to see if it fits or whatever, there's definitely more to it than just what you see on the screen. And I don't know. I feel like the work you put in off the stream definitely for any streamer shows. Like if you're just kind of like for me, obviously we've had a kid, things are a little different. This is like a hobby. So I just kind of turn on the stream and just jump in and start talking and stuff like that. So, but you can tell when someone's putting in the time to be like, no, I'm really working on bringing this to the stream. Like you're getting ready to do a subathon at the end of, July. And, I'm sure that takes a lot of work to get together. Like it's no easy thing to be like, yeah, I'm going to be live for like half the day. If, some people do it for like a full 24 hours and I can't imagine what that's like to prepare for, So
yeah, exactly.
But it's just like, there's so much more that goes into it. If you care, like there's some people like we know there's people out there that do really well streaming and they just roll out of bed and turn it on. Like it's just,
Yep.
and some
It's
people have
effortless.
that.
Yeah, but some people it shows too. Like some people I'll try to make, they'll be like, hey, we should do games. We should, co-stream or whatever. It's like, okay, great. And then I try to contact them and they're like, oh, okay, well, this day maybe. And it's like, okay, not maybe. Like I'm one of those people who plan ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know, like, am I going to be here this day or are you going to be here this day or yes?
Yeah. Yeah. We've all, and I mean, even, we've had that at every level. Like, and obviously it's a little more, it's a little more, I guess, pliable when, I'm streaming to 10, 15, 20 people sometimes. So it's like, all right, well, you couldn't make it. That's no big deal. But I've definitely had people where it's just kind of like, oh, yeah, we're playing this day. Let's go. I jump on. I start talking because I usually talk for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And then I'm just like, well, we should be hearing from so-and-so at any minute. And it's not like, yes, we're playing games and it's not like the biggest deal in the world. But I've also been talking, especially if it's another streamer, I've also been talking up your stream the entire time.
Like an obligation.
Yeah. And you're kind of like, all right, we're playing with so-and-so tonight. And be sure to go check out their channel.
You're just friends.
Yeah. It's like common courtesy if you made, And I understand there's always going to be extenuating circumstances that'll happen and pop up. And that's more than okay. But
oh, sure. Of course.
You get some people that are just kind of like, oh yeah. Sorry. I didn't reach out to you the other day. I just fell asleep. Like,
that actually happened the other day. I remember I was talking to you. I was like, oh, so-and-so didn't even know we were streaming and we are streaming in 15 minutes. This is great.
Yeah, this is awesome. Or
I played them. I've been talking about it all week.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody else had to tell them. I was like, oh my God.
And it's just a little bit different. Like I said, ultimately, yes, you are playing games, but at the same time, you're also setting up small appointments with people that come to watch you. They're like, oh shit, I'm going to see, Lopez and Kerrty play, Hunt Showdown or whatever. And then like, you're like, well, Lopez isn't here and he's just a big dickhead and he's just not here. And you're kind of like, all right, well, and they're still there to see you, but still you set those things. It's almost like you being like, well, we're having a subathon July 30th and it's going to be a lot of fun. And you talk about it and then you're just kind of like, it's just not happening. You come back the next Monday. You're like,
hype it up forever.
Yeah.
Well, and I like to talk about it the day before as well. Like, at the end of the stream today, I'm like, hey, tomorrow we're playing with so-and-so and so-and-so. And everybody was like, oh yeah, can't wait to see that. And it's like, okay, cool. Hopefully we see you there. Hopefully everybody shows up. I hope everything goes well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been interesting to watch because I feel like, we've known each other and talked for a long time. Like I can sometimes when we talk, you've got that like imposter syndrome where you're just kind of like, I don't know why so-and-so wants to play games with me. I don't know. I'm just like, because you're fun. Like people watch you. Like obviously, you've got an audience and people are seeing, and like some of us, some of the friend group could absolutely see that when you were at like 30, 40, 50 people. And I'm just kind of like, but it's hard. Like being a creative person and being someone who creates podcasts and stuff like that, it's very hard to look at yourself in that way because most creative people are very hard on themselves. Like most people are like, no,
this is true.
Like that was a terrible stream, or something like that.
I think it kind of comes from how do I explain this? So sometimes you're watching some of these streamers and some of these people you actually look up to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, man, this guy is cool. He's pulling in like thousands of views. Like people like this guy,
Mm-hmm.
And then you just have, piddly you and you're sitting there and they're like, hey, you want to play games? And you're like, me?
Oh, me?
You're like looking behind you like, wait, me?
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to believe. I had that experience the other day with Psycho Ghost, actually. He's one of the biggest Hunt Showdown streamers. He is the biggest Hunt Showdown streamer in the directory. And out of nowhere, he messaged me and he's like, hey, Games Friday? And I was just like,
And
sure.
you'd done one
played with him
day
once.
with him.
And it was with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to be too, I didn't want to ask, like, who else are we playing with? Because I don't care. I'll play with anybody. And then we get to the day and it's just me and him. And I'm like, oh my God, I had performance anxiety. I was like, what if I do bad? What if I make a fool of myself? Like, I was nervous the whole day. My heart rate monitor the whole day was just revving at about 120. I was just so nervous.
You were doing cardio sitting in a computer chair. Like it was
absolutely.
It was
100%.
It was really funny to watch, but I mean,
I was exhausted.
But he brought up like a really good point. Just in a like you guys were in a fight in the game, and you know, I guess it just didn't work out, and you guys ended up dying, and it was just a high stress situation where and he was just kind of like, look, the more you get into those situations, the more comfortable you'll get with it. Like, and it's, I think it's that way with just about everything. Like you do those things that kind of almost make you just flex to where you're a little too uncomfortable. And then it comes back and you're like, oh, well, okay. So I just did a full stream day with Psycho Ghost, or I just did a full, show with this person I really looked forward to doing, to interviewing or something like that. If it's like a big, like you interview a celebrity or something like that, you're like, I just did this interview and it was amazing. Like it's almost like those nerves make you grow a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah. I think you get a little more desensitized to it. Also I get like the opposite reaction. So I've seen both sides of the coin. I also get it when viewers ask me to play with me. And I'm like, yeah, man, come on. And they're like, wait, really? And then I play with them and I can tell when we're talking, I'll be like, hey, man, what's up? And they'll be like, hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, exactly. Like they get really nervous and everything. But I think everybody is just, we're all the same, right? Like,
yeah. When it comes down to it, it's just,
we're all just a bunch of nerds who like to play video games, and we're all just normal people anyways. And
and
none of us have anything extreme going on anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, and we're all a ball of nerves, right? And usually, in most 100%. Cases, there's a reason why I'm sitting here playing video games, most of the time. And there's a reason I'm sitting here playing video games or watching Twitch, just because either I don't want to go out and do stuff, or I don't, stuff like that. I don't want to, maybe I have social anxiety. Like, that's the thing that's been the most eye-opening to me through doing streaming is like, holy shit, there's just a lot of people who can open up in a big way on Twitch, whereas you meet them in person, because I've been to a couple of Twitch cons and PAX and stuff like that, and you meet people that that you've met, whether they're streamers or whether they're just people who are community members who come in and hang out, and they surprise you because they're just like so soft spoken and like, but you're so bold and like you talk so much shit in chat, and they're just kind of like, it's just whatever. And I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah, it's so much different. Which I think, I don't know, I guess I can't really relate to that, because if you were to meet me in person, I'm the exact same person that I am on stream. I mean, maybe like a dialed back just like a little bit, but like I still have like that high energy, and I'm sarcastic and I'm goofy and I say stupid things,
Yeah, well, and I think you can see that when you're watching a streamer, after you've watched enough, you watch enough Twitch, right? That you can be like, I can tell when someone's being genuine and when someone is a put on, because it's
100%.
It's something you can't like. It's almost like an instinct. Like you can be like, oh, that person doesn't seem like they're acting right. It's almost like when you see someone, how they are, but you can tell when they're like,
and then you see them act differently in front of like a group of strangers that they're trying to impress. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting because it works for some people, but I feel like the people who are more successful, or at least they grab my attention is what I should say, because everyone's got their own thing that works for them.
Sure.
On Twitch, are the people that just are the same when you meet them. Like we've got, a mutual friend in Geef, Alan. Like, he's the same dude when you meet him in person. Honestly,
it's hard to believe because he's so high energy.
I feel like he's more outgoing in person, if I'm being honest.
It's
like
insane.
He's
really hard to believe.
He's really nice, and like I think that's what draws people to streamers like you, where it's like you can tell, like when you're not having the best day, you're letting people know, like you're not being a downer by any means, but you're kind of like, kind of feel like shit today, but we're gonna play some games to see how and get through it. Like it's honesty. It's not being like you've got a fucking migraine and then you're just kind of like, this is the greatest day ever, and your eyes like about to twitch out of your brain, you're like I'm about to pop a blood vessel in my head, but we're here. You know,
You have to, though. You have to be transparent, because if you're not, Stream notices. Like, are you tired today? You look tired.
God.
You know, like you always get those kind of comments, or just like, I don't know. Just people know. People, you're right. People do know, and you can usually tell. And let's be honest, like eventually the charade needs to end. It will end. And can you imagine the people like Dr. Disrespect or whatever that plays that character every day?
Mm-hmm.
You know how exhausting that would be to put on this persona every day and pretend to be someone that you're not?
Yeah.
That to me seems like a terrible day. Just pretending to be somebody you're not all day, every day. I mean, he gets paid good for it, so I could imagine that's why he does it.
Yeah, and
But
I think it depends on the personality too. Some people just love to be, you know, I mean, essentially what he's doing is acting, right? Like he's being an actor,
true.
and he's just kind of getting lost
true.
in a character. And but I think that makes when he does break character, the few times he does, like it, that's why it breaks the internet, so to speak. Like that's why it gets tons of views, because you're like, oh, Dr. Disrespect loses it and rips off his wig and blah 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 blah, and, you know, something like that. And I don't know.
No publicity is bad publicity, you know?
That's true, unless you're filming people pissing in a bathroom. Now that's terrible when you're Dr. Disrespect. It's not good.
Really not a good idea.
It's not a good look.
It's not good.
It's not.
It's not good at all.
Not good. Reel it in, please. But yeah, people can tell, like it's so odd. And but when you get to actually get out and meet folks, I guess the original point was like a lot of people use Twitch as their
escape.
It's their social time, right? You know, maybe they live somewhere where they don't have a ton of friends. You know, they don't have, you know, a going out crew, and especially with a pandemic, like they don't have anywhere to go out. You know, so
I mean, that's how I started. I moved away from home. I didn't have any friends. Like I just, in my downtime, I was just playing video games anyways. It was like a way to meet new people online who shared similar interests.
And it's kind of like, I guess I can ask you, it's kind of weird, right, to explain that to your parents or your family. Like,
my God.
What do you do?
Luckily, my mom is very understanding, because her and I have been playing video games since probably before I could talk, honestly.
What's your first memory of a controller in your hands?
Atari, Pong, Frogger, Joust. I think that's, honestly, that's all I can really remember at that age. I was very little, like very little. Like I remember even struggling with the joystick, like the button on the top, like trying to control the whole thing with like how small my hands were. Yeah. So explaining that to my mom, she actually thinks it's really cool. I've actually almost talked her into like getting an account so she can like watch me during the day. But then I kind of like second guessed it, and I was like, I don't want my mom seeing like the things that people say to me, or the things that I say to other people. So, but my brother was easy because he watches me, obviously. He's been a gamer his whole life. I've always had his like hand-me-down consoles, so that was kind of second nature.
Yeah.
But explaining it to other people has been very tricky, because at first I was just like, oh yeah, I play video games. And they're like, I'm sorry, what? Like, how do you make money doing that? Or when you try to explain it, they're like, people actually pay you for that. And it's very condescending. So instead, I've had to try to explain it in a sense where like, oh yeah, like I test computer software, and I just have to say it very vague and explain to them that I'm trying out different computer programs, which it's not necessarily a lie. It's just a long form of telling people that I don't play video games, I guess.
I'm a play tester. Like I'm a quality control like person, you know.
Sometimes I say like I'm an influencer or whatever, but just coming out and saying that you play video games for a living is just not a good look for a lot of people. They really think negatively about it, especially older people.
Oh, they think you're a slacker probably. They're like, what are you doing? Why don't you get a real job? Like kind of shit.
Yes. Yes.
Ugh.
That especially. So my old boss just actually didn't understand at all. And somehow it got out to him because somebody that I worked with actually told him what I really do, but he said it in a very condescending way. They're like, oh, don't let her fool you. She's just playing video games all day kind of thing. And I was like, wow, thanks.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much just like misunderstanding and I don't know, just assholery that comes with like that side of things, right?
I just think it comes from a very naive place because people don't realize that I'm my own manager. Like, nobody is forcing, with a job, you are forced to go to work, right? I mean, you're not forced, but like if you want to have a paycheck, you are forced to go to work.
Sure.
You need to be there on their schedule, on their time. Nobody's making me do that. That is pure willpower. Like, nobody's making me get up in the morning at 8 o'clock every morning. Nobody's making me get ready to be at the computer at 11 a.m. every day. You know what I mean? Nobody does that. I don't have to do that, but I do because it's my job and I take it seriously. I make schedules. I do my own editing. I do a lot of my own work for my backgrounds, my sounds, my everything. Everything that goes into this stream is my creativity, you know, besides like my artist or whatever. But like the little ideas or whatever that come into my mind to do, I have to make that come to life. Like nobody else is doing that for me, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of self-discipline. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Well, it's always got to be weird too, like to let people know. Like it took me forever to explain, and I still don't think they really understand it. To my parents, like, oh yeah, I'm recording a podcast tonight, or I'm doing my show, like, because they knew I did radio, right? They knew I did actual radio as a job, as a full-time job. So that's like a tangible they can see. Like, all right, he goes to a radio station. He goes to a place, does a job, gets a paycheck. Like it's
correct.
It's very tangible. Like at that point, and even then, they were still just like, "Oh, you're still doing your little radio thing." Like it was still that. Like it wasn't even. I was like,
that's probably what I'm gonna get. Oh, you still doing your little video game thing? Oh, that's cute.
Right.
When you grow up.
It's like, yes, I'm doing my radio thing in Atlanta where thousands of people listen every morning. I'm still doing that little thing. It's a big fucking deal. Like it's one of those things. But now,
be happy to know me. You're welcome.
Right, and now I just kind of explain. I just kind of explain the podcast and the stream is like, oh yeah, I'm just doing my internet show. I just say my internet show, and then I just
sad that you have to downgrade it though, right? Because other people have downgraded it for you already. That you feel the need to like just kind of brush it off as a little thing. I kind of feel that way about my streaming too.
I don't
like
for me, I think it's not necessarily downgrading. I'm just really don't feel like explaining it to someone that's not going to really care, if that makes any sense. It's kind of more so saving me time. I'm just kind of like
the frustration.
You're not going to understand the concept. Like I had to explain it to my stepsister, who is my exact age. Like we're the same age, and I explained it to her not even a year ago. And she was kind of like, so wait, you're just playing video games and people are hanging out and paying you money? I was like, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's different. Like I'm actually talking to people and I've got relationships with these people. Like it's amazing how close you can get to someone when all you've done is talk to the text that they put on the screen.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I've got people that I've been talking to for 3+ years at this point that I've never heard their voice. I've only ever seen the text that they put on the screen, and that's wild. And I don't think some people can wrap their head around that it's something you do. Like, so a lot of people,
I feel like people our age should be able to though, right? Because when we were growing up, MSN and AOL and Yahoo Messenger and all of that was big.
It was huge. I mean,
granted, you knew those people.
That's the big difference.
Unless you went to like a chat room or whatever, which my friends and I did just to like goof around or whatever. But that was that age when that was okay. Now you're pretty much just doing that, but people are now watching you.
And I think
so it is different.
Yeah, and I think that like some folks that are I think I'm just a little bit older than you, but like some folks
Just a
that
little.
around our age, their exposure to that side of things is just through people they know, right? Like, so when they're chatting on AIM, why would you be chatting to a stranger on AIM? Like, so there's another layer there, and at some point, people want, like, my stepsister is a pilot. She flies planes for a living, so she has no exposure to.
You talk to 200 people on that airplane
Yeah.
every day that are just listening to you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same thing.
Yeah,
But I don't think people understand how exhausting it is. It's not just exhausting explaining it to people, but it's exhausting doing it. At the end of the day, I am so mentally exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
You are constantly on high alert while you're streaming. You are not only having to play a video game, listen to alerts come through, talking to chat, keeping up with follows, and you don't know what anybody is going to say. Okay. I am still shocked at some of the things that people type in chat room, and you have to respond to it accordingly. It's essentially improv. For 6 hours a day.
Yeah, you're basically just having to, and I think that's what the big draw for me has been too, is like, I hate reading a script. So usually half the time when I'm reading something for someone, or if I'm doing intro for a YouTube video, or even this podcast, like, I can have loose notes. Like, I want to hit these items. I know I want to talk about this stuff. But if I have something written out for me, I'm just like, I don't want to read this. Like, this is exactly what I'm saying. I can't do this. Like, it becomes frustrating to me because I'm just kind of like, that doesn't tap into my creativity. So I can record an intro for something, and it'll like 4 different times, and it'll be 4 completely different ways of doing it.
Yes.
But yeah, like,
the fun in it though, every day is different.
Yeah. Well, and the way I've explained it to someone, because someone's like, how are you so tired after you've just been playing video games? I'm just like, well, I'm not just doing that. I'm doing all the other things you were talking about, right? Talking to chat, making sure things were running, making sure, my internet wasn't dying on me, basically producing
a whole operation. I've got 3 monitors of stuff that I got to keep track of to make sure everything's going to plan.
Yeah. You're producing, you're hosting, you're doing all this stuff. And by the time you're done, especially with a longer day, it's equivalent to having to sit in a car for 4 or 5 hours and drive somewhere. You get out, you're like,
absolutely.
You're like having to stretch your back. You're like, I can't. My hip's caught.
My neck, my back, my hips, everything.
Yeah, I can't tell you the times I've walked out to Krista and been like, can you just pull my arm, please? Just pull my arm. I feel like my trap is gonna just clinch right off my body. But yeah, it's definitely this level of mental gymnastics that some people can do and some people can't do, and that's okay too. Like, I've always been a proponent of, like, hey, you want to try streaming, you want to try podcasting, like, just do it. Like, just start. Like, you started, and we were talking about right before we got started recording. Like, you just started with a headset. You had a headset, a shitty mic, and you were playing on a console. Like, that was it.
Yep.
And it
was so bad. Looking back at those clips, because some of them are still available because it was 5 years ago, and I think Twitch keeps those clips for 5 years. So after 5 years, they're gone. But some of those clips are still there from, like, my original days of playing, and oh my God, it's so bad. Like, the camera was bad, the audio was bad, the lighting was bad, the video quality was bad. Everything is just bad.
My voice was shrill. I was like,
yeah. I understand why nobody watched me back then. I totally get it. But just for starting off, I don't think that's a bad place to start, because when you do start, you're only going to have yourself and maybe a couple of your close friends that you're like, hey, I'm going to do this. Could you come hang out just so I have some numbers or whatever? I don't think that's a bad way to start, just to see if you like it.
Yeah. And
because it is a lot.
Yeah. And I think
it's not for everybody.
I talked to Tech Guru about this a little bit when he was on the show, and I think you need those years. I think you need that time, because if you were to just,
I've learned a lot.
I think a lot of people feel like they can jump in, they can put a good however many months into it, and
they're gonna make partner.
Some people, yes,
it's not gonna happen.
Some people get lucky, right? Some people just come in
very lucky, but a lot of that's all in who you know. Like, if you ever talk to those people, a lot of those people knew somebody who was streaming that's kind of like directing traffic their way a little bit too. You know what I mean?
It helps. Now, networking in a way helps, but like, I think the practice of knowing how to talk to, first of all, 5 people, 10 people, 30 people, 40 to 100 people. Like now, like, so
having that slow incline, I think, is important, because if you don't learn to talk to 30, 40 people at the same time, once it gets to, 300, 500 people, it's just, I've kind of gotten to the point, like, I used to pride myself where, like, I rarely ever never missed anything in chat, Now I've literally just accepted that, like, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss a lot of things.
Yeah.
Hopefully what I do catch is the important parts. Keeping up on alerts and, stuff like that. Like, you just have to prioritize what's important at the time, and then just try to make up that conversation in lobbies or whatever else. It's hard, man. I'm not going to even lie about it. It's hard. It kills me that I miss so much, but I've had to accept it.
I think a good viewer understands that, though. I think a good viewer knows, look, I know she's not going to see everything. And I don't know, like, I think that you need, like I was saying, you need those years where you're figuring out how to talk to that many people, because we've all been, if you've streamed for any amount of time, like a year or 2 or 3, you've had at some point someone's just like, oh, I've got like 700 people watching. I'm gonna go drop 700 people on this person's stream at a 10 and just watch them melt down. And it's happened.
Yes.
I watched it happen to you. Like, what was it? Hybrid Panda came and dropped a fuck ton of people.
God, like 1,500 people when I had 10 people in my chat.
And like, try to talk to that. Like, you don't know how to, because you've been having a conversation with one person.
He actually laughed at me. I like went back and watched his VOD. He laughed at me.
Yeah.
Because he was just like, oh, this poor girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like deer in the headlights. I literally stopped the game that I was playing, and I just had a meltdown. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. But then it got kind of to the point where it started happening, and I kind of stopped doing that. Because I kind of realized that, one, these people, they want the reaction, which is good. You want to give it to them a little bit. But at the same time, like, a lot of these people, they're done streaming for the day. Yeah. And I've come to realize this. I'm not trying to have a conversation with them anymore. It's kind of like you know what? Thank you. I appreciate you. I'll try to take care of your people. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Here's, like, please, everybody else, go follow this person.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you can really do.
Give them the out, because they're probably really fucking hungry or really fucking tired. Yeah.
They want the out. They definitely want the out. So now I know that, but before I didn't.
Yeah, because there's nothing like, because you don't want to be rude, right? I've raided or I've raided or hosted into people, and I'm just like, I don't want to be rude and just go, but
I got to spend like 10, 15 minutes here and talk to them. And
there's definitely been times. Yeah. There's times where I'm just kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to let my auto host do it. Yeah. Auto host is going to do his thing, guys. You have a wonderful night, because a lot of the people aren't going to be just sticking around anyway. Like, it's more of a gesture of like, hey, I like you. Here's some, here's a bump, in the directory for a little bit. And that's that. So it's more of a like, hey, I respect you and I trust you with these people. So
yes.
have fun, because we've definitely also rated people that that you're like, I regret this right now. I regret this.
Yep.
This is a big regret.
I've done that. This is a big regret. We're never going to this person again.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually I've had that happen, and I've unhosted them after that has happened. But at that point, the damage is done. Like, they're already there, and you just hope that they leave.
Yeah. You're like,
I don't do that anymore.
Run away.
Don't do that anymore.
Run away.
I do not do that anymore. It's all people that I know now and trust, and that's it. Like, I have a select few people that I usually are on by the time I'm done, and that's just kind of where I go.
Yeah. You have go-tos. And I think, well, what's also important when you're talking about jumping into doing like anything creative, and you want to do YouTube, you want to do podcasting or streaming, like, don't spend a shit ton of money right out the gate, because you might not even like it. Like, so people, I think it's common for people to come in and be like, oh, you've got a Go XLR, or you've got this or that, or look at your mic. Like, I need to get that mic.
Your fancy setup, and you spend a lot on your setup. I get that a lot, because I have all of my stuff listed in the stream.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, oh, look at that PC. Like, you spent a pretty penny, blah, blah, blah. But like, yeah, I did it like over the course of 6 years. The Go XLR was my only purchase 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
My Stream Deck was my only purchase 1 year. My microphone I got from you. You know what I mean? Like, that was the only reason I got this setup was because you gave me the mic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I bought it from you, but
sure.
you know what I mean?
It's
Like, it's a build. You grow. You don't start off with everything that I have. Like, this year, I bought myself a new monitor.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I probably won't buy anything else this year.
Yeah, I would
One
highly.
year I bought a chair.
Right.
You know, like,
I mean,
I probably won't get anything else.
I'd highly suggest buying everything all up front because you don't really know what you need because what I have may not fit what you're trying to go for, right? So,
well, we went through that when we were talking about the Go XLR or the Roadcaster, I think is what you have.
Yeah.
Because I was going to get that. And then I was like, I don't need that. You guys were like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
No. I mean, it works if you're doing like multiple microphone podcasts, but like you just have you're not constantly interviewing people. And if you are, you're interviewing them, via Discord or via Skype or something like that. So, it just like, it's not, and you don't have to spend all this, my stuff was slowly acquired over time. Like it was not like, I didn't start like this. I started with a little shitty HP PC. And I happened to throw
I started with a laptop.
Yeah.
Well, besides the console situation, when I finally started streaming, I started with an Asus laptop.
Yeah.
And I got like an external graphics card and I like put a monitor on it. And then I got a mouse, like a real mouse and a keyboard. So the laptop was running. Yeah. And it's just like a little cheapy keyboard too. I think this keyboard's like $50.
Yeah.
My mouse is $30. I love it. Like, it doesn't have to be expensive.
You just have to have it work for you. And I think that people like to jump in and see the expectation is like, oh, I got to get there. I got to get there material wise and I got to get there viewer wise. And it's just kind of like, no, you need to build.
Get there
and
eventually.
But I like to remind people that I don't really run into them too much anymore. But like back when Twitch was exploding and a lot of people were finding out about streaming and coming to stream, you had a lot of people just like, I want to stream. What do I need to do? Like, and you're kind of like, you just need to grab yourself a cheap USB mic or a headset. Like anything works. If you're entertaining, you're entertaining. I don't care what you've got. Like it definitely helps to have.
Like you, they like you. Yeah.
Right. It definitely helps. Like some of the biggest streamers, Tyler 1 or whatever, he always is streamed with a fucking headset and it sounds terrible. But he's got thousands of fucking people that watch him. Like it just depends. You have to strike the right chord.
They like you.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. Like you need what you need. Like, and I think that's why my advice has always been just turn on the mic and start playing a game. I was like, learn how to talk during dead times because you're gonna have years of dead times. Yeah, unless you get really lucky. If you have some really good friends. Like I think I lucked out big time in the fact that I had people who would just come in and have conversations with me all fucking stream, like, and they would just come hang out, and that was very helpful because I had someone to talk to. If you don't have anyone to talk to,
playing with,
right?
Like if you have somebody you're playing with, that's a lot different because you are still talking.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't tell you how many times I've gone into like a smaller stream or something, and they're just sitting there like,
just staring at the camera,
staring at the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying a thing, just dead silence for like 30 minutes. And you're like, honey.
Well, and you can have moments like that.
Talk about it.
Yeah. You have your moments, where you're like, I need to focus right here. And even you're good about being like, sorry guys, I need to focus real quick. Like I need to focus for a minute. So sorry, I'm not being talkative.
I try to talk through some of my stuff too, though. Like I try to talk out loud. Like, all right, I'm going to rotate. I'm going to do this. Like, this is why I'm doing this. I try to have my internal voice come out so that when I'm playing other games, I literally have a disclaimer on my channel that says sometimes Kerrty talks out loud and she's not asking for help.
Right.
Because
she's just
sometimes
asking
I'm like,
questions.
do I do this? Yeah. Where am I going? What am I doing? I just say things out loud because I don't know, it's more entertaining to watch. But a lot of people do get discouraged. They really do. And I totally understand. I've been discouraged when I first started. And I only had 5 people watching me all the time.
Well, and if you really go ahead, sorry.
No, it was discouraging. And it happened for a couple of years before I started getting like 10 people watching me. and then 15 people watching me. You know what I mean? Like, it was really exciting. I'm like, oh my God, I totally had like 15 people watching me today. And other people are like, wow, a whole 15 people, huh? And you're like, no, this is great.
Well, and then you go like the next day, it's like one person watching. You're like,
one person.
what?
You're like,
it's such a mind fuck.
Wrong?
Yeah, it's
what
like
did I do wrong? Why does nobody like me anymore?
I'll be like, dude, I've had 2 or 3 days of like 30 people watching me, and then I'm like, I'm gonna stream. Like the biggest mistake is jumping outside of your schedule. Switching games, jumping outside of your schedule, and be like, I'm gonna stream today. Fuck it, I'm jumping on, and then like nobody knows you're live.
Everybody's gonna like, yeah, nobody knows you're live. They're like, oh, I didn't even know you were here today. You were like, but. Wait, I went live.
No, yeah, and those assholes that pop in are like, "What are you doing streaming on a Saturday?" You're like, "What are you
doing?" That to you all the time. I'm like, "What are you doing?"
and like that's fine. Where are we going? What's happening? It's interesting because like I don't know. I think that people feel like it should be instantaneous, and I'm kind of like, no, you're seeing lots of you're seeing the culmination of hard work here. Like you weren't there for the 5 viewer days. Like everybody had their 5 viewer days. I don't care if they made partner in 6 months or not. They still had the day they pushed, go live. The day that the first time in, like it's all different. Like, and it's funny how like you can mold a little bit of as much as you are yourself, you still mold a little bit of a personality. Like you get some inside jokes, you get some things that are go-tos.
Inside jokes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Definitely. Where a lot of people coming in, they're like, can somebody explain this to me? And we're like, nah, it's not worth it. Like, you'll be in on the next one, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, you just grab the next one that comes by because you've missed that one.
You'll be in on the next one. This one's way gone.
But I don't know. Like, it's such an interesting...
It's a different world.
It's a different world. And, like, I never thought... Like, I knew that streaming existed, and I knew that people played video games and people watched them. But until I didn't realize it would be something I'd be like interested in. And
as of like 6 years ago, I didn't even know Twitch existed. There was this guy at my work, and he was like, "Yeah, I was watching this girl play Call of Duty, and she was playing with her puppy the whole time." And I'm like, "Wait, go back. You were watching somebody play video games online?"
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's like this website called Twitch." And I'm like, "What is this?" I like literally went home. The front page had like some person playing, I don't even know what game. I think it was like League of Legends or something silly. And I started watching it and I was like, holy crap, this exists. I made an account. The next morning I woke up and I was like still intrigued by it. And I was like, I need to find a game. What do I need to find? Well, The Witcher 3 just came out. And I was like, I'm going to check this out. So I went to The Witcher 3. I found this guy Subsync that was playing. And I started talking. And the people in it, he had like 20 people watching him. And he was funny. And the people in his chat were funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, wow, that was fun. I spent like an hour in there before work. And I was like, well, that was fun. And then the next day I woke up and I followed him. The next day I woke up, he was playing again. And I went back. And then I went back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back. And eventually you kind of form that community.
Yeah.
And it was addicting. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. So I already had a PlayStation. I got a camera. A really crappy, I think I used like the earpiece with that microphone.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm pretty sure that's what I was using.
Where if you move slightly, it goes.
Yeah. Didn't even have a real headset at all. No alerts, no nothing. Just a blank screen of me in front of a PlayStation. And it was bad. It was real bad.
Hey.
But it was fun. It was my first stream. Nobody showed up.
That's where you got to start. Like that's the way to do it. Like, who was your first sub? Who'd you first subscribe to? Do you remember your very first subscription?
No.
Really?
I think it was probably Subsync actually. Yeah,
Okay.
It was. Because I hung out there all the time. And actually, Ian, who still comes to my stream, was from that stream.
Oh, wow.
He was from that community, the first community I was ever a part of. And he was one of the first people to ever watch me on Twitch.
That's insane.
It is insane.
And he still comes around to this day.
He still comes around to this day. He still checks in on me. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
6 years later, and he still stops in, at least to say hi. Maybe he doesn't have the time to stay. Like, he's got a family and everything, but he doesn't have the time to stay a lot. But he does come in to say hi. And that's really nice, honestly.
That is really cool. That is really awesome. Yeah, mine was just more so to check out a game because me and some friends were on the fence about picking up.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah.
Friday the 13th, the game, because we wanted a game to play together. And I was
That's when you started?
That's what introduced me to Twitch. My friend Sheets, I didn't
know this. We've never talked about this, actually.
Yeah, he sent me a link to a streamer streaming Friday the 13th. And I was like, all right, let me check this out. It was Angry Pug.
Nice.
Streaming Friday the 13th. And I was like,
solid.
At that point, he wasn't as big as he is now, but he was a partner. He was probably streaming to 200-300 people.
Okay.
And I was like, this is crazy. So I was just more so checking out the game. And then like his personality started grabbing me because he was being really...
He has a really big personality.
He was being really funny with the game. He was talking shit to people in a fun way through the comms. And like he was, his reactions are over the top and stuff like that. And I was like, this is kind of fucking cool. Like he was really good at talking to his chat. So like he's talking to his chat the whole time. And I'm like,
he talks to you.
Right.
And you're like, oh, he interacted with me.
He sees me.
He sees me.
But and I was just, in the radio person in me was just looking at it like, these are his callers.
Imagine, right?
Well, these are his callers. And he's having basically a visual radio show. Frasier. Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, I think I could probably do something like that. Like, I was just interested. So the first thing I ever streamed, I know I've talked about it on here with other streamers, but the first thing I ever streamed was Doom 2016 on
I can see that.
On Facebook Live.
Oh.
On my Facebook account. And it was just people that I hadn't talked to because I mean, obviously when you're on Facebook, it shows, people that you're friends with. Oh, so-and-so's live playing a video game or whatever, or doing whatever. And so it was just these people that were popping in that I hadn't talked to in
high school.
I don't even know if there was a chat. Hang on. I don't even think there was a live chat on the side of it. It was just Facebook Live.
Who was viewing or whatever?
Well, it just showed me, I think it showed me viewers, and then like people could comment, but I wasn't looking at the Facebook page to see who was commenting. So it was after the fact. All these people that I hadn't talked to in years were just kind of like, oh man, playing a video game, just little shit like that. And I was kind of like, oh, this is weird. I was like, what do I need to do to play on Twitch? And so I looked into that. I picked up my normal Lopez radio name, and I just kind of actually I couldn't get Lopez radio at the time for some reason. There wasn't an active profile there, but I couldn't get Lopez radio. I was Lopez Live. For the longest time.
Live. We all move away from the live.
Lopez Live, everyone. And eventually it let me take Lopez Radio because I was already doing my podcast at that point. I was already years into doing a podcast. So I was like, all right, well, we'll start doing this. And it just kind of evolved. I think you and I met through Dead by Daylight.
We did.
Just mutual Dead by Daylight folks. I don't know how you got into my channel, but I don't know if it was a raid or what, but...
No, actually,
I think you just popped in.
I did. So I think we were in Morph's chat actually. And somebody mentioned something to you about your stream or games last night or something like that. And you responded back, and I was like, oh, he streams. So I just popped in one day, and then you actually recognized me from chatting in Morph's chat.
That's how much time I spent in there. I was just like, I knew all the names.
We both spent a lot of time in there.
Yeah. And and I think we just ended up, I don't even think I realized you streamed for the first 2 or 3 times you were in there.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And then yeah, I was like, oh shit, you stream, and it was that point I was like, oh, you're not a dude. Like I was like, I was like, oh okay, and I forget what you were streaming the first time I
Girls
went.
exist on the internet? No.
I think you were just playing DBD the first time.
I think I was playing Dead by Daylight. Yeah, because you popped in when I was playing Dead by Daylight, and we were like, we should play games together sometime. We're
And
like,
thus,
yeah, we should. Kind of like this podcast.
Yeah.
And we were like, yeah, we should, and then we didn't for like weeks.
Yeah, and then a friendship was born. Look at that.
And friendship was born.
Speaking of, you brought up a really, I mean, you didn't bring up a good point, like, but you brought up the point of, oh, you're a girl on the internet. That's got to be a pain in the ass.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Well, it's an interesting subject for me just because I just had a daughter, as you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, how do I prepare her for this? Because I'm not.
It's really weird too. Like growing up, everybody was always like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I always wanted to say, I want to play video games for a living. And everybody always kind of laughed it off. And at some point in school, like my one teacher knew that's what I wanted to do. And she was actually for it. And she was like, okay, we're going to put you on this course for college. Like you're going to go into like computer graphic design and blah, 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 blah. Like you can branch out from like, she actually gave me the foundation that I could go into, you know, computer software, computer graphics, computer whatever. Like she was actually okay with it. And she was like one of the only people that actually kind of led me in that path. And then when I got to college, I was like, I don't want to do this.
Fuck this.
So when I heard Twitch was a thing, my eyes got so big. I was just like, wait, people play video games?
Yeah.
People give people money to play video games? And at that point, I was hooked.
Yeah.
Like this is what I always wanted to do. What they don't tell you is that a lot of times, especially when I started like 6 years ago, I didn't see that many girls online streaming. Like there are really, now there is. Now there's a ton. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're everywhere now. It almost seems like 50-50 now between the men streamers and the female streamers. It's great. You can find a personality for anybody. But when I first started, it didn't feel that way. And I actually had people who would come in and say things like, how does it feel to be playing video games in a male-dominated industry and blah, 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 like stuff like that. And I'm like, wow.
They're like got the microphone like, excuse me, how do you feel to be a piece of shit? Like, how do you feel to be a piece of shit? Comment? You have a comment for that?
And you're just like, you're so appalled that people actually say these things to you.
Yeah.
I can't, you've been there.
Yeah.
For some of the things that people have said.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
who talks to a human like that, let alone, you know, I mean, not just a human, like who comes in and is just like, what do you think you're doing?
All the time, like you say all the time, you're like, wow, that's a good way to start a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I like to go, or hi is good. Hello is a good shot.
Yeah. Like the first thing they say to you is something, you know,
stupid as shit.
Or it's bad, man. And I just think that I don't know if they're butthurt about it or.
I think they just want the reaction. I think they want the reaction a lot of times. They're just kind of like,
they do too.
I'm
There's
really
a lot of keyboard warriors, man. Like you see it. You see it everywhere. You see it on your Facebook. You see it on Twitter. You see people saying things to other people that you were like, my God, you know they wouldn't say that if it was in person.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just aren't happy with themselves is what it comes down to. I got to think that they're just not happy with what they're doing, so they want to go shit on something else. You know what I'm saying? Like they really
said something to me the other day in chat, and I didn't have a mod around. It was really bad. I ended up having to like stop what I was doing to ban this person to shut them up. And somebody in chat was just like, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. And I'm like, don't. You know why? Because like I don't feel bad for me, feel bad for them. Because obviously this person is really going through something.
Yeah.
And they must be unhappy with themselves enough that they need to go to a stranger's channel and say terrible things to them to like try to make themselves feel better. And I just kind of paused and I said the guy's name and I'm like, look, I hope you get help because you clearly need somebody to talk to. You're lashing out. I hope you have a good day, man, but I need to time you out. You need to think about what you said.
Yeah.
And maybe next time you'll be nicer. You know, like you
Yeah.
can't necessarily act in a way like, hey, fuck you, buddy.
Right.
You know, like
fuck you, lady. Always... go fuck yourself, lady.
Go fuck yourself, lady. You can't always do that. You know, that's not always the answer. You don't treat negative with negative all the time.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to be like, look, man, just go fucking sit. I've done it to people too. Like it happens to dudes, but it happens to females a lot. Just a lot, because it's something that I don't know if it's just maybe some feel threatened. Maybe some dudes feel threatened,
emasculated a little bit.
Maybe just a little bit, and some people are just out to just, how can I start some shit? You've had it happen too, where you were playing games that, you know, that were story-driven games, and people will just come in and fucking drop everything that happens in the game. Yeah. So-and-so dies. This person does this. Yeah.
Like, yeah, they just can't help themselves. And I just don't understand coming from it again. And it just, that's what it was. I was playing Red Dead Redemption. That's what it was. And that guy came in and dropped like 10 spoilers all at once.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, man, coming from, I mean, joke's on you. I already know what happens, but coming from somebody on a platform for video games, you'd have to think that those people enjoy video games as well. Why would you want to spoil that kind of experience for other people who enjoy video games? Because let's face it, a lot of video games nowadays, they're not like Mario or wherever, where there's no real story. Everything is very cinematic.
Yeah.
Everything is meaningful. I've cried from video games where you're just like, oh my God.
You're controlling a movie. In some cases. Like you're playing the part and making the thing happen to progress this. It's just an interactive movie.
That movie game that I just bought that you and I were gonna play.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm worried. I don't want to get moved. You know?
Don't move me. I don't hit my feels.
I don't want to do this,
bro.
When we played It Takes Two, there was a couple moments where I was like,
yeah,
trying to hold back, just suck the tears back in. Like,
yeah, this is
back in there.
Yeah, this is a great game, guys. Look at the graphics. Look how good the graphics look.
Hold on, be right back.
Yeah, you can see the shine from the tears on her cheeks.
I know. It's good, but I just don't understand why somebody would want to ruin that experience for somebody else. It's like, I guess the equivalent, right, would be back in the day when we were younger. Did you ever have a kid in a movie theater that had already seen the movie, and like halfway through the movie, he screams out the ending?
I never had that happen. No.
I have.
That's terrible. What a terrible way to be. I'm sure he did.
Like some kid chased him out of the movie theater.
It's like, oh, get you, you motherfucker.
That would be the equivalent.
Yeah.
Without a violent ending.
Well, I think they see an opportunity to
ruin somebody's day.
Yeah, to ruin someone's day, to feel like they spent this money on this game and now they know what happens at the end without getting there on their own.
I just don't get it.
I've noticed that some folks like to do it, and they do it in games a lot. And we had this happen when you were playing Resident Evil Village, I believe, and they're just like, oh, the next part's gonna blow your fucking mind. Oh, you just wait. Next one, you're gonna be shitting your pants. And like, well, now I know something's coming up, man. Like you're either building it up too much, or now I'm not gonna be,
It's like I totally overreacted in that situation because nothing happened for a long time.
Sure.
So like I was amped up, like going in, thinking, okay, something bad's gonna happen here. And something bad didn't happen for like 2 hours.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, you know what? I honestly don't think he was talking to me. He was actually talking to somebody else in chat. And we did kind of like, you and I did our thing where we're like, here it comes. You know, like you and I did our banter back and forth. And he got actually really upset.
I know,
I had to have like, I actually did have messages back and forth with that guy. And I'm like, look, Lopez and I are assholes.
Did too.
Lopez and I are assholes. I really want you to come back. Like, he's a really nice guy. He's always in chat. I've really gotten to know him. Like, he's so nice. But to be fair, it is one of those things where you're like, oh my God, this is the best part.
Yeah.
And somebody's instantly like, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
It's kind of, you have that, it's kind of like Cyberpunk, right? Like, they hyped it up for years and years and years, and it got put out, and you're just like, wow.
Wah, wah. Yeah.
That's a huge pile of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think I have a little more leniency with that because I think it's just someone who's excited for you to experience something.
He was.
They're not ruining anything,
no,
or they don't realize.
He didn't mean to. He didn't mean to. He really didn't.
Yeah, it's like, you ever watch something like someone's like a really big fan of a movie or a TV show, and they finally like convince you to watch it, and you're sitting down to watch it, and like
it happened a lot when you were like little, when you were like over at your friend's house. It was like a scary movie. Oh, this is the best part, and they kind of like lean in and like they're just watching you. You can like see them eat the popcorn, and they're just like watching you the whole time. You're like, God. I know something's about to happen. You're watching me. Like,
yeah. You kind of look over, and they're just kind of like, huh? Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, dude. Like,
oh my God, dude. Like, you just gave it away.
I'm not gonna lie. I've probably done it to people too. I get excited when someone finally watches something that I'm like really excited.
I've done it.
I'm like, you haven't seen The fucking Wire? Come on, man. Let's go watch it right now. You have seen The Wire?
I haven't.
No. I'm trying to keep. See, I've made.
I just see you pick up your notepad and pencil, like when Kerrty comes down the wire.
I just
writing it down.
I just light it on fire with a with a lighter. I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna throw this away.
Well, it's out the window.
Well, but I've been trying my best to shed that side of me where I'm like, oh my God, how have you not seen such and such, like this and that? Because
I think that some of that just comes with age too. You know what I mean?
I think so. I think
we just tone down and we just kind of like let things happen when they happen. It's kind of like when you were younger, you're over at your friend's house and like your friend, this was probably you. They've seen it like a million. No, this was definitely me. They've seen it like a million times. And they're like saying the lines verbatim, like while the movie's running, and you're like saying the lines the whole time, and they're like, "Will you shut up?"
But they're saying it like 2 or 3 seconds before the line, like they're trying to be the one doing the joke, and you're like, "Shut the fuck up, man!" Like,
I'm that asshole.
Oh, what a dick! Now, like, you can
guess the movies too.
Having said that, you and I would be insufferable watching Ace Ventura. I'm sure of it.
That's the one.
We'd be insufferable assholes.
You and I would just be like looking at each other, like saying the same lines together, and we'd be like, and our husband and wife would just be like, "What the fuck, these two?"
They're gonna look at each other and be like, "You guys, you want to go get a drink?"
Put these two in the same room together.
They're just gonna go to the back porch and be like, "We're gonna go have a drink." You guys,
you and I are just like cackling
assholes.
Inside. Yeah, pretty much. Like that's my prediction.
Put
money on it.
But as far as like people coming in and being like super toxic, like I think what I've been reading, I read this book. It's called The 4 Agreements, and one of the things in there, like it kind of gives you these things of like how to, I
think I have that book.
You think so?
I think I do.
It's a really good book.
It's very colorful.
Yeah, it's a really colorful cover. And it's got
I can't pull it up because it's gonna go in front of the camera, but
sure. It's but it's not a self-help book, but it's more like a just kind of putting things into perspective. Like, hey, maybe don't take things so personally. Like that was one of the agreements. Like, don't take things personally.
I have that book.
It's a good book.
I haven't read all of it. My aunt gave it to me actually, probably about 10 years ago. I never read it.
It's excellent actually, and it's a quick read. It's a tiny little book.
It is. It's really thin.
And one of the things is like, don't take things people say personally, because it's almost always never about you. It's always about something they're doing. So that's kind of the mentality I brought to Twitch, to podcasting, to anything, because usually it's someone who's pissed off because they don't have the time to stream like you do. They don't have the means to stream like you do. Like, and they're just kind of
I
like,
think over the last few weeks, it's gotten really bad where it's like a daily occurrence. And I'm starting to kind of take that route. Before I used to get kind of.
you would let it ruin the stream sometime for yourself. You'd be like, I'm fucking done. I can't do this.
Well, I mean, it depends on how bad it is.
Yeah.
I think that's only really happened that one time when I was playing The Last of Us 2.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking about.
That person dropped all of those follows, and every follow name was a spoiler. Mm-hmm. So it just flooded chat, and then it went to like derogative names, and then it went to like
it got bad,
horrible names. It got so bad, and it just didn't stop. Yeah. And I couldn't stop it. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have like a stop button to make the terrible things stop popping up in my chat. I was like, oh my God, this is bad. This is really bad. I had to stop. There's nothing I could do. The only way to make it stop was to stop. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess in that point, they won. Ever since then, I have installed some things to stop alerts and everything else. Like I have a panic switch now.
Yeah.
But you have to. And it's sad that it comes to that. It's sad that that's what people find enjoyable.
Yeah.
But you just kind of, I try not to let it bother me.
I think that's the other thing that I kind of
the last few weeks.
Right. Well, I mean, so with an increase in visibility means that assholes can see you better. Like it's just just the way it is. Just
a bigger target.
I know
I'm not the only one who deals with it. I know I'm not.
Yeah, you're a much bigger target, so it's going to happen more frequently than it did before when you were, at like 60, 70, 80 people. Like it just changes because like I don't know, like you were struggling really hard to reach that level of partner, right? And once you get there, like it's kind of cool because other people that you're involved with in the community see that, so they start pushing more people your way, and so naturally things grow a little bit at that point. And so
I think people think that you're being more serious too, because I know that it sounds stupid, but I had a goal that I wanted to become partner. Like when December hit and I was pulling like 500, 600 people at a time, I was like, I want this. Like, this is fun to me. It keeps me engaged. I like being on my tiptoes. I like having every day different. I like the interaction. I like the improv. I love it. Again, it's not for everybody, but I wanted that status. I don't know if I wanted it. I didn't want it to be like, ha, I got it and you didn't. But it's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
When I changed, I think it was on Facebook, it kind of like tells people who follow your page or whatever, like if you change something in your biography or whatever. I changed to Twitch partner and somebody was like, well, what does that mean exactly or whatever? And somebody else was like, congratulations, ? And like they don't get it. But like what they don't realize is less than 1% of the people who stream on Twitch ever become partner.
Oh, yeah.
Less than 1%. I'm in that 1%. That's a stupid accomplishment to somebody, but to me, that's big. That's huge. I'm less than 1% of the population on Twitch.
Well, and like you said too, there comes, and I think it was when I had Ape Fist on, and we talked about it because he had just become partner at the time, and he's like, I think he said about he's like deserved or not, that check mark gives you some sort of credibility to certain people. Like they see it and they're like, oh, there's a partner, so I can go in there, and like that's a person who did something to get there. Like it's not, you can't do nothing and get there, right? So
it is hard work. Well, and again, it comes back to that dedication. It comes back to that nobody's forcing you to be here. You are forcing yourself to show up. You are forcing yourself to do this. Like, yes, it's my job. But at the same time, like, if you don't take that seriously, like, people don't have to show up. I see streamers all the time who are just like, I'm scheduled at this time, and they just never show up. And everybody's like, where's so-and-so? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
there is a discipline to it. It's hard work. And it does show, especially to, game developers who see that check mark and they're like, oh, well, if they see that check mark and you are interested in their game, they are more likely to recognize you than just having somebody as an affiliate.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but they do. They notice that.
And being in the world of having come from the world of Dead by Daylight, like you and I did, like, you know, that there's people who aren't partners, but they love that game, but like they have to be able, developers have to be able to parse that in some way. Like, clearly there's 40,000 people at any given time playing that game. Like,
yes. Yeah. Or
a large
people watching it alone.
Yeah, a large percentage of people obviously love that game. You know, whether they're playing casually or if they're playing all the time, like, they would love to be recognized by the devs, but the devs at some point have to have a cutoff of like, all right, we are, you know, we have to like strongly consider this group. And even out of that group, they have to parse that down, because there's some people who are partners and they just happen to play every once in a while, you know, and it's like, all right, well, we can't be so serious, you know, about every partner. So, I wouldn't ever take it personally, but man, there's just like I said, the best way it was put to me was like, credibility deserved or not, there's credibility to having that check mark.
It's true. It's just like having a check mark on Twitter. It makes you credible. Like, oh, this is this person. You know?
Oh yeah. Oh, and you can be like, there are terrible people with check marks. Like, you don't have to be,
for sure.
But you're still recognized. You know, you're still recognized as being somewhat of an influence.
There's people who have check marks that are in categories that aren't really gaming or whatever else, but I mean, they still worked what they are doing in that category. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
They worked hard, regardless.
Yeah, they're doing. And
there's an audience for it. You know?
There's clearly an audience for it, and that's been the weirdest. I think some of the weirdest stuff has been the past couple months on Twitch, where it's like hot tub streams became a thing. Like, while I was doing, while I think it all kind of really cropped up just before I went away, like when the baby was born, and I came back and I was like, the fuck's a hot tub stream? What is going on right now? And people were like, oh yeah, you just put a pool in your living room, or you have a pool outside or something like that, and you just sit. I was like, this is a thing? Like, I don't even know what's happening.
Sit in a hot tub with fake boobies and bikinis. Yeah, that you can. There's an audience for it.
Yeah, it's
people want to see it.
I mean, like,
the weirder it is, the better. You know.
It kind of led to a conversation. We've got a buddy in Sweden named Makassar, and me and him were talking about this the other day, because he was talking about how, like, he wants to, he's a streamer. He hasn't streamed in a long time because he went back to school and he's working now and stuff like that. But he's like, man, if I had the time right now, I'd get back into GTA RP, because that's the wildest growing, like GTA, Grand Theft Auto role play for those out there.
Yeah, that's a category of its own.
That's where you're being the streamer, but you're also, when you're in game, you're being a character. You're
role playing a character in a video game, and that can be a variety of things. Okay. You could be a car dealer.
Yeah.
You could be a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a cop.
Yeah. Truck driver.
Dealer.
Yeah.
Truck driver. Yeah. And these people, I'm not even kidding. They take this very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You do not break character. Okay. You are that character. And man, it is popular. It's really popular. I don't know if it's something that I could ever get into.
Like, some servers, you have to fill out an application. You have to have a backstory for your character.
It's very serious.
Yeah, you have to have a complete background on your character, so that there's an entire profile about you.
Kind of like Dungeons and Dragons online, but
a little bit
Grand Theft Auto.
Mm-hmm. So he was talking about that. He was like talking about how he's like, GTA RP is the weirdest. And he's like, but he brought up the point. It's like, maybe it's just because we're all old and kids are weird. And I was like, yeah, I guess you could see that. Like,
it might be that.
It's possibly that. And I told him, I was like, I don't think we just don't have that time to comprehend all of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're kind of, some of us have
some of our imagination, or I don't know. I think we're just in that age where being virtual is the new norm. How many times have you tried to call somebody and nobody wants to talk to you on the phone, but they'll text you all day?
Mm-hmm.
They'll talk to you on Messenger. They'll talk to you on Zoom. They'll do all that, but they won't take a phone call. You know what I mean? Like everything has gone so virtual. There's the virtual reality chats where you pick your character and then you go chat with strangers.
Mm-hmm.
There's just all of this stuff that's all virtual now where people can interact with each other in ways that we used to in your chat rooms, but now you have a face and a body. It's weird. It is a weird concept.
It just reminded me of that. I remember the one guy a long time ago came into your chat.
Oh, I do.
And we found all the videos of him in virtual chat being a creep.
Total creep.
Just like predator creep. It was odd.
Watch your children, man. If your children are in any virtual reality games, man.
Make sure they're actually games and not just being able to stand around and talk to people from all over the world.
Because it was creepy seeing this guy talk to these.
You could hear him getting worked up. You could hear him getting worked up, and it was really.
This one girl was 14 because she said she was 14, and it was really uncomfortable to see. It was really uncomfortable. Like, imagine that being your daughter. Like, you would not want that.
Well, and that's kind of what I was thinking about earlier. Where I was kind of like, how do I prepare? And like, I mean, you just kind of, because I think there's no way to really mentally prepare right now, because by the time she's the age where she's going to do that, there's the tech. I just the best I can do.
Something else is going to be the issue. Okay.
Yeah, the best I can do is keep up with the technology, so I know what she's getting into. Like that's the best I can do. It's like, and that's also a good way to justify like purchases later. To the wife, be like, oh, I have to make sure I know this because, you know, if she gets older and needs to use this technology, I got to know what it's all about. She just opened the door and stared at me. She's like, I'm watching you.
Mama.
But yeah, you have to consider all that stuff, right? Like, what is it going to be like if she wants to jump online and just interact in Twitch? Like, I know that there's people in the community that are, you know, shared people that we have in both of our communities that have their name purposely ambiguous. Like, could be a dude, could be a chick, like, because they don't want the hassle. Like, because literally there are people we talk to like that they're just like, no, as soon as they find out I'm a girl, all of a sudden I'm getting DMs all the time. Like, hey, we like this same streamer. You want to like hang out sometime? You want to play games? And it's kind of like, why are you such a hornball? Get away from me. You know,
I mean, some people want to be known. Some people don't. Like some people I'll be like, hey, dude. And they'll be like, actually, I'm a girl. And I'm like, all right, well, I just call everybody dude. So now when that person comes in, I'm like, hey, dudette. Like, it's kind of like a joke now because they said that. And I'm like, all right, well, they've clearly felt uncomfortable that I called them a dude. But I come from the generation that called everybody dudes. So dude is just like my safe word, but it's not a safe word anymore, I guess.
That's actually a big thing right now. I don't know if you've seen that on Twitter at the moment, but there's like a big dude controversy on Twitter where Co Carnage, one of the biggest variety streamers on Twitch, just put out a tweet that said something blah 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 dude and such, and like he got a bunch of shit about it and had to delete the tweet. And hang on, I'm gonna pull up the tweet because this
is a thing now.
This isn't the first
the world that we're in.
Well, this isn't the first time I actually
I don't know why
I've actually heard this before. Where is it at? Let's see. I'm looking. All right. So this is I kind of got clued into this, and it's got a bunch. I'll send you. I can send it to you later if you want to look at it. But it says, so I took down my quote unquote dude tweet. I've been using the term my entire life, and I wasn't aware how strongly some felt about this use. The whole point was to include, not exclude. I'll try to phase it out as a general address to keep to keep it to the guys I know. Bear with me as I do. Some people are like this about guys too. Like, hey guys, let's calm down. And they're like, why are you calling us guys? And look, I get Like me and my wife actually talk about this all the time. I'm like, what do you think when we're old and cadre and our daughter is older and in college? Like, what's going to be the stuff we say all the time that they're going to be like, no, that's probably dude, right? Dude's like,
hey, dude.
Yeah.
What's up, dude? How's it going, dude? See ya, dude. Like, that's all we used to say.
But the problem with this,
I just don't understand why everything is offensive. Why is snowman offensive?
Yeah. I don't know.
Excuse me, there's snow women as well. Like, it's just a thing, man. Like, we don't have to be offended about everything. It's okay. It's okay.
But the problem is, like, when you try to have a
you can't.
When you try to have a conversation about it, like so now there's like 443 replies to this initial tweet. And I'm just kind of like, holy shit. But the initial one that I saw was like, it's like, fuck that, man. It's just, dude, like you get the people who come to defend you are people who just shouldn't be defending you. You're like, I don't want to be associated with you. I don't
want this person.
No, I don't. Yeah, exactly. I can't, please.
It seems like you get one extreme or the other. It seems like you get the extreme that wants to defend you, the extreme that's against you, but it's really hard to have the people that are in the middle that are like, hey, man, you know, like, I'm sorry. Hey, sir. Hey, dude. What do I say? Hey, I see you grew up in this time.
Folks. Hey, folks.
I get it.
Like, I don't know. I don't know what
folks
you say.
It's offensive. I'm offended.
Folks. That's a term for poor people back in the day.
Everybody. I don't know. I
don't have a body. Listen, I can't be everybody if I don't have a body. But no, I'm not trying to really get into that. Like, it's just
person. I'm sorry.
It's just, and this,
we just need to calm down. Honestly.
I mean, I'm just looking at it. I'm like, this could be my stop on the train. I don't know. Like at some point, like you got to stop on the train and like, do I just get off now? Like, is this where I step off? And I like kind of, and there are ways where I've accepted. All right, look, I know I stream on Twitch. I know that from going to TwitchCon that I'm still in the age range of people who spend the most money, like as far as a group goes that spends the most money on it. But I also know that I'm also watching a young person's game, so to speak. Right. I know that I'm just kind of I accept it for what it is. I'm not worried about, I go into way less streams than I used to. And it's more so limited to people that I know and people that I've, grown relationships with over the past few years. But
you got to feel comfortable because here's the thing too, is like every stream has its own dynamic. You know what I mean? Like some streams are like really protective. If you say something to a streamer that they're like, don't call him that, or like they get really vicious. I've noticed.
Your audience is very protective of you.
I have seen that before. It's not as vicious as some other places that I've been to where I've literally seen people get ripped apart. And I was like, holy God, dude. Like,
I think it's a testament to who you keep around. Yeah. I think it's a testament to who you keep around and what you allow to happen in your stream. Like that's
probably true.
Me and Sean talked about this on his podcast. I think I was on his last episode and we talked about how Twitch circles are much like your friend circles in the fact that the only people who are in there and get time in the circle, so to speak, to talk and hang out and be a part of the conversation are the people that you allow to be there. So you run a very
good point.
Yeah, you run a very tight line of being like, well, if I allow this person to come in here and say this shit and not address it, then people I really love and like are going to be like, well, why the fuck is that person getting to say some stupid shit and not be censured for it?
Recently, like if this happens anymore, like I'm done. Just don't even time them out. Just ban them. Like I don't want to deal with it anymore.
I don't
want this kind of negativity around. Because it brings everybody down. Because once everybody gets like worked up and hyped up, like bringing that level down to a calm level again, where everybody's like having fun again.
Mm-hmm. Well, the incident with Resident Evil, I mean, even today when the kill death ratio came up, people just started like everybody started putting up their tents.
Oh, that was
Everybody started raising their battle flags. They were like, oh. I was like,
heated.
I even said, I was like, look, every time this comes up, it becomes a 20-30 minute conversation that nothing gets accomplished, which I'm so glad that you're a person that doesn't care about that. So it usually gets squashed pretty quick, but man, like it's just going to be, it's part of one of those things to expect when growing a stream. Like you're going to have more of that come in because you're going to have more randos show up.
I just think that if you breed a negative environment, like if you're, if you're constantly complaining, if you're constantly talking about all negative things, you're always going to be surrounded with negative people that feel that way as well. You know what I mean? Like you have to have a good balance. I'm not gonna say that sometimes we don't have serious conversations. Like sometimes we do. Sometimes we have really serious conversations. Sometimes somebody's having a really bad day. Somebody's gone through a breakup. Somebody's like somebody in the community that we need to talk to and be there for, because sometimes these people don't have anybody else to talk to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm well aware that I know of 2 people in my channel who are actually disabled. One of them who is bedridden. She can't get out of bed. And the only time that she has to spend is she spends it in Twitch channels, because that's how she spends her time. That's how she communicates with people. And you just kind of have to know that, like, you want to make a safe place for people where they feel the need that they can come and they have a safe place to talk.
Yeah.
They have people, they know if they're having a bad day, they have those people that they can talk to at least. So I'm not saying it's always sunshine and rainbows, but at the same time, if it gets to a bad place, like you got to cut that. You got to stop it, because it's going to bring everybody down.
Yeah. I mean, and also like, and this is something that I feel like streamers and probably anybody who's kind of got eyes on them on social media, right? Like maybe verified Twitter accounts or something like that. Like I see it a lot just from observing. I'm a person who likes to sit back, especially if I go to, like, let's say a party, right? I don't know a lot of people. I'm going to sit back and fucking watch the party for a little while before I really start doing anything. So I kind of treat social media like that, because I feel like once I engage, like it's hard to disengage once you kind of lock in on social media stuff. So I sit back and watch, and one thing that I can definitely say that I hate seeing, and I don't hate the people for it. I just think that it's all misdirected, and we've all run into this. If you've streamed at all, people who come in and decide to use your chat room or your Twitter channel for counseling, for therapy, and you're kind of like, dude, I am playing video games and telling dick jokes. Like, why are you, like, I don't know what you think I'm going to tell you. You know, if you want to talk about, hey, I want to start streaming, I can do that, but I'm not a professional. Like, there's somebody in my Twitter timeline who, I haven't seen him in a while, but he used to come in the chat and he used to hang out and stuff like that. And then we followed each other on Twitter, and like, he'll post cryptic stuff, or he'll say, I don't know if I can make it through today kind of stuff. Like, and I'm just kind of like, and like, I finally had to be like, and I would just not engage. I was like, look, this isn't my, like, I don't know what to do. And the other day I was finally like, look, man, I hate that you're having such a bad time and shit gets tough. And all I can say is, like, it always comes back around and is better. But I will also say you need to talk to someone who's professional that can help you with that.
Professionally. Yeah.
Professional, because like, just like streamers and other people on Twitter aren't built, and they're not studied to handle that for you. Like, all people can only tell you it's going to be all right so much.
Stream like that.
And
I remember having those conversations.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like, the first thing I'm like, look, man, go get some professional help, please, because you don't want to see anyone hurt themselves. But at the same time, like, it's a weird line, right? You don't want you don't want to be dismissive of them, but you also don't want to be like, well,
you don't want to be dismissive.
Here's what you got to do, man.
They're used to that.
Yeah.
I took psychology for a while. That's actually what I wanted to go into. So I don't mind talking about some things, but again, to your point, you do not know to like what extent Like what they're saying is only what they're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what everything they're experiencing.
Yeah.
So you do want to be very careful about that. And I always try to, I don't know if it's like, I'm a very empathetic person. So I always kind of try to relate. And I've been through counseling. Like I've been through, like I developed like really bad anxiety and depression, and I didn't know why. It was a serotonin problem, but like it was a chemical problem. Sometimes people don't have that issue, you know, and sometimes people just don't know what's going on and they freak out. So if that happens, I do try to, you know, like tell them and encourage them, because some people have had really bad experiences with like people that they need to talk to. And I'm like, hey man, you know, like I'm really sorry that, you know, this is happening. Like I can relate to you. And then like sometimes other people in chat will kind of chime in a little bit, you know. I'm like, but you really should talk to somebody. And if they respond back with, you know, I've talked to somebody, it doesn't work. Like, well, you know what? It's like dating. You know, it's not always going to work the first time. You got to find one that matches you. You got to find one that works for you. Like, it's okay to kind of like talk about that stuff. But to your point, you're right, man. Like, it's a fine line when you know somebody in person. It's a finer line when it's somebody online, because anything you say could blow up, and people are watching you too. I often think about this. Like, sometimes I think about when people say terrible things to me in stream. I often think about if it's a setup.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wondering if they're trying to get such a reaction out of me that they could use it against me in some way.
Yeah, take it out of context and make a clip of it and be like, look.
Yeah, because clips are a real thing, man.
Look how terrible
Anybody
this person
can clip
is.
anything I say. Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes I think it's a setup. Because when the first person that comes out of somebody's mouth is so negative, you're just like, your first instinct is to be mad.
Right.
You know? Like, you want to get defensive about it. You want to protect yourself. Like, how dare this person say this about me? But you can't, because you have so many people who are watching you, and maybe you don't think you're a great person, but some people are looking up to you as a person.
Some people are hanging on your every word.
It's true. You just have to act with kindness. It's hard to do. And sometimes I have to swallow my tongue some days. And like jokingly, I'll say stupid shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like when it comes down to situations like that, like people are watching you, and what you do and your actions say a lot more than, you know, what this person is saying about you.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the best way to go. Like, cause that's what they want is the reaction. So to not give that to them is kind of like a blow anyway. And then you trust your moderators to, you know, you can always unban somebody. Like if something was a misunderstanding, you can always go back and fix that. But you can't go back and fix if you say something stupid that is then used to make a complaint about you.
Just watch you.
Right. Yeah. I think the responsibility goes way the fuck up at that point, right? Like once you've reached partner, first of all, you've got a new set of rules you got to go by.
Yeah, I do. There's like an actual contract you need to sign.
Yeah, and then as the viewership grows, then the impact of what you say becomes bigger. You know, there's a reason why people who are huge TV hosts,
like celebrities, right?
Yeah, there's celebrities that say some stupid shit, and all of a sudden now they're being fired from all their movies or TV shows that they're doing because, oh yeah, you're a fucking being an asshole and you're not being sympathetic to the situation. There's a reason why that happens, right? Because their voice has a reach that is much bigger than the normal person that doesn't do any of that stuff's voice.
Yeah.
You know, you can sit around all day long. I mean, not to get into anything political, but just look at the past 5-6 years. Like that's the impact of someone who has a reach to a lot of people to make a lot of ignorance bloom. You know,
for sure.
Ignorance is always going to exist, but there are people who can be a catalyst to that and make it bigger than it needs to be.
Well, and I feel like when you have someone who is a big figure and they say something that validates the way that you're feeling, somehow it feels more accurate. I guess.
Feels more justified and accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you thinking like, oh, well, this person is like a huge celebrity and they think this. Well, I think that too, and they feel like because that person said it and you feel that way that they can justify what they said, even if it's wrong.
He just backed me up. We're good to go.
Exactly.
And
it's kind of like that where you have people who are, you'll say something and sometimes people are like, yeah. Like you feel more powerful when more people rally behind you.
It's, and it's been a theme on my podcast for years of, I used to call it talk shit, get hit. Now it's called fuck around, find out. Now it's called, I don't like to call it cancel culture because I feel like you have to be accountable for the shit you say. Like you work for a company, you do a job, you work for an organization. Sorry, you do have the right to say what you want to say, but they also have the right to fucking not be associated with you anymore. If they want to send you away, then that's on you. Like, Gina Carano, got let go from Disney and being an actor on The Mandalorian because she just wouldn't shut the fuck up about stupid, ignorant shit.
I heard about that.
And
which is insane, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about like...
But I think it's getting to the point where people are putting up with people's shit less and less.
Well, they realize they don't have to now, right? Like nobody's untouchable. And for a long time, people were untouchable. Like you could be like, oh, well, so-and-so did this. Well, it's like the only way the world's going to find out about this is if they print it in the paper. And if it happens to be in a paper that you live near, you're like,
everything is so accessible now, right?
100%.
Like everything's at your fingertips. Everything is real time.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's kind of scary. And I hate to say it, but like, I hate it.
It's tough, right? It's, anybody can.
It's not what we're used to. It's not how I grew up.
It's definitely harder to redeem yourself. It's definitely harder to be like, hey, look, I made a shitty joke and I didn't mean that. Like I was just trying to make people laugh.
Yeah, but even if you say that, it's still like people still look at you like an asshole.
Absolutely. But you're also still giving lease to someone who has a seriously shitty opinion instead of a jokingly shitty opinion,
Sure.
You're giving someone and be like, well, this guy said it, then it must be right. I'm with you, man, like kind of thing. And it's like, well, no. I was just making a joke. There's plenty of examples of that, with comedians and stuff like that, where they've been like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I was just making a joke. And it's like, yeah, man, that's right. Take them back where they belong. You're like, what? No. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right. Well, I mean, and sometimes people in chat just start going off too. And like, there'll be disagreements where people will be like, yeah, dude, that's not right. And they get all heated up about it. They're like, oh, well, so-and-so said this. So, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, look, man, you're entitled to your opinion. Even if it's wrong, you are entitled to it. And that's okay. But don't expect everybody else to like follow ship,
Yeah. And I think that shows itself more when you get more out there, invisible to people, right? Like people show up.
You're gonna have different crowds for sure.
And I've seen it with family, but you see it with.
You've seen read the room, dude.
Yeah, read the room. Well, hey man,
you say that all the time. Dude, read the room, dude.
Read the fucking room, man. You're in the wrong fucking club, man. Like, I mean, that's essentially how.
I have to laugh. I have to hold in my laughter sometimes when I see you doing your thing, and I'm just like, oh my god.
I mean, it's. I don't know. It's funny too.
It's funny
because people like to jump in, and you can tell when they're echoing an opinion they've heard, much like you've heard a family member reread a headline that they didn't read the story to. Like,
oh god.
Oh well, I saw blah 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 blah, and they're like, and so people
read it.
People come in and be like, yeah, man, they really need to fix this in the game, and you're kind of like, that's a really original opinion, bro. Like, way to go. Yeah, I haven't heard that before.
Yeah,
but I don't know. People just, I think there's this epic struggle to be heard and seen, whether you're just a part of the community or whether you're a streamer. And some people take it too far, and some people, yeah, they want their opinion out there, but they're not dying to they're not dying to get it out there. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll throw something out. Like you go into a street, like sometimes you go into a chat. You probably even seen it in your chat. Someone says something and you see, maybe you see it, but you decide not to acknowledge it.
Ignore it.
And then they say it again. And then they say it again. And then they say it again. It's like, dude, you said it 3 times already. Clearly, this is not something we want to talk about. So let's move on.
Right.
I hate that. Like we call it a thirsty behavior. And it's just like, look, man, drink a fucking bottle of water. Sit the fuck down. Like, calm down for a second.
Read the room.
Read the room. Please.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's easier to do online because, again, it's how many of these things that you see people, right? How much of that would people say in real life? They wouldn't. It's the same thing on Twitter. It's the same thing on Facebook. Like, for a fact, these people wouldn't say these things if they were saying it to your face.
Yeah. Well, they don't have to deal with the impact of what, like, you ever said something to somebody?
Of it.
Yeah. You ever said something to somebody? We've all done it. You ever said something and like maybe you were joking. Maybe you were just having a moment of being a little too truthful and you see the hurt in their face. They're kind of like you see their soul kind of like get crushed a little bit. And you're like, and you're automatically like, fuck, I didn't mean to like be a shithead about that. Yeah. When they don't have to look at your face, like in your case, they can see your face, right? But maybe they're talking to someone on Twitter. My reaction. Yeah. And maybe they're like, but there's definitely been people that have said some stupid shit and maybe they were joking. And then you have your reaction and they're like, oh shit, that's not what I didn't mean. Like, I didn't mean to like offend and stuff like that. And
that's happened.
Yeah, it's definitely happened. And
it's hard to tell what people's intentions are through typing because you don't have that voice. You don't have those other verbal cues to go by. You don't have the body language. You don't have any of that to go by. And I think that's just kind of where we are now, right? Everybody wants to text. Everybody wants to write on your Facebook or whatever. Like, we are losing that connection, which I think, I mean, for you, like this has to be why you do podcast, because it's these conversations that get lost that people are no longer having that they should be having.
Yeah. I mean, like there's a quality to having a uninterrupted, conversation with someone where you're intentionally sitting down to talk to just that person and to talk about things that are on your mind, what's going on with you, stuff like that. And, it's the same thing when you sit down with like a family member, maybe you're sitting down with your mom or your dad or whatever, and you're kind of talking about what's been going on and you're purposely not picking up your phone. Like it's just a connection, right? You get a way better conversation than like, I'm in the middle of playing a game. Oh yeah. That's kind of funny. Like you kind of keep, doing that.
Right.
It's a way better conversation. Like how many fights, how many relationships have ended, how many friendships have ended over a text that was like not, the tone wasn't read right.
Oh, sure. And then it just starts like a huge argument and you're like, no, that's not what I meant. But it's too late because they've already sent you like 20 pages of text of like, you're a shithead.
Oh yeah, motherfucker. Remember that time?
Whoa. Like, you can't take that back. Like you see the typing, like the little dots going and they go away and then they come back and then they go away and then they come back and then you realize like it's like 20 pages of text and you're like, oh my God.
I think that's part of what I love about getting older now is like, and I've learned to embrace is like, you can just say, no, I don't want to do that. Or yeah, that's kind of bullshit. Sorry. Like, not really sorry, but it's that like, sorry, but nah, I'll just stay over here. I'll play with the 3 people I like playing my game with, or, it's just getting older is just, it's fucking great. It really is.
You know what? It kind of is. You have less of an expectation for yourself. I'm to the point in my life where I realize who I am. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know who I am. I'm probably not going to change much. I mean, I might change in like 20, 30 years, when I'm ready to die, but...
Oh, you'll give less of a shit. You'll be even more, you'll be more insufferable. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful.
You're going to have like 3 friends. It's going to be awesome.
My friend Richard and I always joked around. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking great. Like if I weren't me, I would hang out with me. I'm fucking awesome.
Right.
But you have to, I think that's really important though, because there's so many people that are like, I need a girlfriend, I need a boyfriend, I need this in my life. Do you though? Like, because you're just really unhappy with yourself. And if you could just find a way to, accept yourself for who you are, then that's literally half of the battle. I'm not even kidding. Because half the time something comes up and I'm like, you know what? I know myself. I'm not going to get to that. I'm just going to say no now. Because I know I'm not going to want to do that.
Yeah. And the it's kind of wild because I think accepting yourself for who you are is so fucking important because people spend a lot of time really not enjoying themselves. And I think
imagine how much time you spend alone. Like you probably, like right now, this doesn't really apply because you've got a lot going on with, the baby and everything, but you did have some time to yourself, whether it be streaming or whatever, or nice that you didn't want to stream. I know that you were just kind of like in the basement or whatever doing your thing, but like if you can't hang out with yourself.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but like people always say like, like what do you do before stream or whatever? I'm like, I hang out with myself. And I know that sounds so stupid, but from between 8 o'clock in the morning and 11 a.m., that is my time. That is my time to hang out with me. That is my time to have my coffee with myself. It's my time to like just do me things. And I'm fine with that. It's just that time for me to sit down and just let my mind just kind of come to a halt,
Yeah.
And that's important. If you cannot stand being around yourself, you need to work on yourself.
Well, you have to become you have to become a master of what you need for you. You have to become like, you're married, I'm married, I've got a kid. Like you have to become a master of what that unit needs, right? Like,
sure.
Because there's definitely situations where you and your husband work better together than in other situations, right? There's definitely situations where me and my wife work better together, and then now we're trying to figure out how me, the wife, and the kid work together, right? So
yeah,
you figure out what works best for you guys. And look, man, one of the things that getting older that becomes great, at least for some people. I think there's some people who never reach this point, but like you find that you don't. Your ability to suffer fools, which is my favorite thing. Your ability to suffer fools is way lower. Like I cannot sit there and suffer your stupid fucking posts on Facebook, you just any of your stupid shit.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
I let things go very quickly now. Like it used to bother me. Like I don't know, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It used to bother me when I moved away from home. I moved away from the only place I ever knew, and I had to make the connection with people. I had to take the time to reach out. I had to take the time to travel home. I had to take the time to make that effort to keep the relationships alive. But like a lot of times you don't see that reciprocated.
Yeah, you don't see it come back. Absolutely.
Right. 100%. It was always me going the 95 and then they would come 5. Nobody ever visited me. I had 2 people who ever came and visited me, and I was only an hour from home. And then I decided to move like 6 hours from home. And they were like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. We'll see each other all the time. You'll come and visit. And I'm like, bitch, you didn't visit me when I was an hour away. You think you're going to come visit me when I'm 6 hours away? Man, I know better. Okay. And at that point, you really learn between moving, between marriage, between everything else, you truly know who your friends are.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I don't really have any friends anymore because that's how bad it is.
It certainly changes, right? Like, things like, so when I went to finish up college, I moved about 5 hours away to Jacksonville, Florida. I went to a college down there to finish up. And I definitely had people who came on a regular basis to see me.
That's
and
awesome.
and stuff like that. But it was a very small fraction of the group I had in my hometown, right? It's like
Yeah.
when it's easy, right? Like, but then you see the people who are putting in the work to come see you. You see the people who are still reaching out every once in a while with a text. Like sometimes it's as simple as being like, "Hey man, just seeing how you doing." Like how you doing?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I have like 2 people who do that. But for the most part, it's me. It's me. Still, it's me. And I hate to say it, but I just don't care anymore. I know that sounds really bad. But here's the thing. I'm trying to find an example. Well, here's an example. For instance, you and I, right? We've never met. We really have no personal connection together whatsoever.
Right.
I talk to you every day.
Yeah.
Whether it's I reach out to you in the morning or you reach out to me in the morning with some stupid GIF or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always bouncing ideas off of you. Like, I'm not even going to lie, you're my best friend. And I don't want to make this sound bad, but like, that's sad.
Yeah.
Because I have all of these people in real life who know me for 30 years. They still don't talk to me. But like, I talk to you more than I talk to anybody. And the best thing about having that online friendship is you're always there, man. Like, maybe you're not going to respond right away.
Sure.
But you're there. And it's the same thing in the Discord every evening. If I'm having a bad day after work, I know I was playing video games all day. But like, if I have a bad day after work or I just want to chat, like, I know those people are there. Like,
there's that group. That Discord group's fucking amazing, aren't they?
If I open it up right now, there they are.
Yeah.
They're literally, I know they're there. Like,
Sean's hanging out. Dwarves is hanging out. Like, they're all just kind of chilling.
They're all in there. I could just go and hang out and chat. We play cards together. I mean, it's virtual.
Every time I pop in there and someone's streaming like their Discord, and they're just kind of playing games and talking shit. I'm just kind of like, Discord mains win. When are we just doing this forever? Like, who cares about all the other stuff? Like, it's fun because you can casually drop in and drop out and
connection. Yeah, exactly. It's less obligation. You're right.
You don't have to.
Yeah. You just clicked on it right there.
You don't have to. You don't have to get like gussied up to go out. Like, you just fucking.
I got 20 minutes. I'm just gonna go in. I'm gonna chat for a little bit and be like, "Hey guys, I need to go," and then you just click out.
And no one cares. And no one's gonna be like, "Well, shit, what's
like
her fucking problem?"
Where like people come over to your house and you're like,
"Gotta go. I got a headache.
Late, huh?
Got a headache. Gotta go. You know me."
You gotta yawn like 30 times, like, oh man, like to try to get them out of your house.
That's honestly the problem with. Well, not the problem. The great thing about having a kid, like right now, we have like the out, man. Like people.
Oh, we got to get her down for her nap.
I mean, her bedtime is like 4:30 p.m. We gotta go. Sorry, we gotta get out of here. I gotta go.
We gotta get out of here.
But people are super like they're like Krista brought up a great point the other day. She's like, you know, I spent so much time before we had a kid, like having to justify why I couldn't show up for things, having to, justify why I was maybe late for something or anything like that. And she's like, I had a kid and no one cares now. Everyone's just like, no, we get it. She's like, well, what about me? Like, no one gave a shit before that I had a lot going on, but now I have a kid and they're like, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
We actually still have to explain things sometimes. Like sometimes people are like, well, what do you guys have going on? And the only excuse you have is work.
Yeah.
Or like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I got to do something for work. I'm the out now because people don't understand what I do. And I'm like,
got a big conference in the morning. Sorry.
Nobody understands what I do. So I'm like, I've got some editing I got to do. I've got some recording I got to go through. I've got stuff I have to upload. Like, I can be super vague about it. Like, I'm the out right now because literally nobody knows or understands what I do. Yeah.
It's nice, right? Like that's always the good thing. Is when you're like, so you're around your family. I do IT. And I'm just kind of like, oh man, yeah, it's crazy. Like I have to get up so early tomorrow and go do IT things.
And people are like, Wow, really? You can't come out for a couple of
I'm
hours?
like, no, I have to go. They're like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, and then really what I'm doing is I'm staring at a computer screen for the first 3 hours I'm at work. Like, all right,
Drinking
I
your
need I need to
coffee,
have some
sending
coffee.
me
Like,
stupid gifts.
right. And it's, I don't know. I think it's all about understanding, right? And I think the older you get, like the easier it is just to be like, mm-mm, can't
I
be
think,
bothered.
you
And
know, this is actually like really funny. I was thinking about this the other day. Like my friend like Carrie growing up, I used to go over to her house and her parents would always just sit out on the porch for hours. I remember my grandma doing this too. She would just sit out on the porch for hours. She would just sit there and watch me play or whatever. And I was thinking like, how could that, like, aren't you bored? But now that I'm
sounds like heaven.
oh, right there. That yes. You're like, oh, that sounds good. Now, when I get up in the morning, man, that few moments when I get my coffee made, which is a chore, by the way, just making a cup of coffee. You're like, oh God. You get that coffee made, and I like sit down outside with the fresh air, take that sip. It is probably the best moment every day where you have the silence, just you.
That's your morning
outside.
cigarette. That's your morning cigarette right there.
Yes, it is. It's so lame. It's so quit judging us. Quit judging us.
It's not
You'll
though.
get it.
Like, here's the thing. You know, one of my favorite memories, like one of the things I think about all the time right now, is it wasn't that long ago. It was during the pandemic, and we were my mother-in-law came to visit. She was here for the weekend, and I forget if it was Friday night or Saturday. The power went out. Like a tree fell. It wasn't a storm, but a tree just happened to give way, fell, hit a power line in the neighborhood, and knocked the power out. And we were like, well, fuck. Like, we normally sit around and watch. We went and pulled out some chairs. We sat on the front porch. I brought out a bottle of whiskey, and we turned on like an 80s radio station, like on Spotify. And we sat there and we laughed and we sang and we got drunk while the power was out for like 3 or 4 hours. Yeah, and it's one of my favorite fucking memories because it was right before I think it was a few months before we got pregnant. And, you know, there was just nothing going on. Like, we're all trying to like kind of figure out what's happening. And it, like, at that point, it didn't matter that there was a pandemic going on. It didn't, yep. None of that mattered. We just kind of sat there. And that's one of my favorite recent memories, just because it was literally just sitting on a front porch, not giving a fuck, and just enjoying the company of 2 other people and sitting outside in pretty nice weather.
I've really recently been trying to unplug from my phone. During stream, I don't have my phone near me.
Yeah.
Unless there was like, like an alert for like a package being delivered or whatever. But after stream, I try to stay off my phone. I don't go near my phone anymore. I just try not to. Like at night when I'm winding down, I'll go through and kind of like check to make sure like emails and stuff are like okay for the day. But other than that, man, I'm really trying to disconnect. Like I'm really trying to get back to, I don't know.
Leaving my phone somewhere is like my favorite thing to do. Less so now because if the wife needs to get to me,
trying to get a hold of me anyways, but like,
right. If the wife's trying, like usually if I'm in the house with the wife and the baby, then I'm like, my favorite thing to do is like throw the phone like at the bed and leave the bedroom kind of thing. Like just be like,
I'm really trying to work on being more present.
It's a nice feeling. And I think that it's, especially in the line of work that you're doing, like I think that's really important because you spend all day connected to the world.
All day on a computer.
All day connected to the world. I do the same thing because I do IT and I sit in front of a computer all day. Yeah, I got things I go do throughout the day, but for the most part, I just have to look over and like Twitch is there, my Messenger's there, everything's there. So
well, it's hard too though because my husband doesn't work, with video games or anything like that. So like video games are his escape. So when he gets home, he wants to play video games.
Sure.
And a lot of times that means that like I'm going to be playing video games too,
Yeah. Well, that gives you that editing time, which is nice too.
Yes. Yeah. I do kind of like wait until he plays games to like start working on stuff like that, which is nice. But trust me, when he's playing, I want to play.
Sure.
So
you hear someone having fun.
Discipline. I know. You're like, oh God.
You look
I
over
had
at
to listen to
Discord.
myself for
Yeah.
6 hours.
You look over at
I
Discord
hate
and there's
my
like
voice.
4 or 5 people playing Uno or, just doing
Yes.
something. You're like, fuck, man. I just want to sit around and do nothing.
I know. Yeah. But I feel like it is important to take that time. Everybody needs a little time to themselves. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy. I take baths. I think that's my favorite thing to do is I'll take like an hour and a half. Like right now, Handmaid's Tale. I'm really into that show.
Ooh.
Every Wednesday it comes out.
Yeah. You were, what season are they on right now?
The third.
I think Krista really wants to start it. She really wants to start it. We haven't watched any of that.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. I just tweeted about it. You didn't like my tweet? No.
Retweet me, bro.
It's so good. It's so. Oh man, Chris is just gonna love it now that she's a mom too. That it's just. I think it's just gonna punch her in the ovaries, man. It really is.
I think
she's gonna cry a couple times, 100%. It's one of those shows that you have to watch. You can't just like have it on in the background and like listen to what's happening. It's very visual. A lot is said when nothing is being said. Every scene is very deliberate. Everything, man. It's just so well done. It's so directed. It's so beautiful. It's powerful. It's so good.
That's almost perfect.
That's my thing right now.
Yeah. Take a bath. Take a bath.
Handmaid's Tale.
Watch Handmaid's Tale.
That's just kind of my turn off time.
That's really cool. And that's actually, it's really funny because that's usually what I ask people like at the very end of the podcast. I'm like, what are you watching? What are you going to tell people to watch? Handmaid's Tale. Perfect.
I love it. That and Kim's Convenience just came out with their last season.
Oh, you've been pushing that for a while.
Yeah, I've been pushing. It's so good. It's a really good comedy. It's a really good underrated comedy. It's a Canadian comedy, I believe.
Is it Canadian?
Filmed in Canada. Yep, it's filmed in Canada. It's really good. It's on Netflix. The last season finally just came out, so you can binge it. It's so good. It's just really happy, funny. I don't know. I really enjoy it. Have you watched it yet or no?
No. Oh, I've watched the first episode. I did enjoy it.
Okay.
I need to follow up because I need something new to watch. The only thing we're really up on right now, at least with me and the wife together are up on right now, is Loki. We're watching.
I haven't started that.
It's really good.
Everybody is saying it's really good.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting take. I think they've been doing a really good job with all the Star Wars and the Marvel stuff, like the shows that they've been doing on Disney Plus. Really excellent. The thing I've been watching lately, at the behest of the wife, is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
We've watched that. It's pretty. It's more Eric's thing than it is my thing, but it's grown on me.
I'm enjoying it. It's really nice. Like there's some kind of. It's one of those shows where I'll look over at Chris. I'll be like, they're so stupid. It's fucking funny, but it's so stupid.
It's so stupid.
But it really, all the references,
kind of like Community.
All the references pop culture wise, like really ring with me because all those characters and the writers are all like our age right now. So they're all making all those 90s and 80s references. I'm like, fuck yeah. That's
Did you get to the Quasi Cupcakes episode yet?
Not yet.
Okay, let me know when you get to
I need to. I need to get there. But it's
so good. This is the best part.
It's the best. Wait till you get to the Quasi Cupcakes.
Quasi Cupcakes. It's the best part.
It's so insane. But so that's really what I've been watching. I'm not sure if there's anything I'm looking greatly forward to. Not to say there's anything like awesome not coming out, but I don't know. I feel like I've been so disconnected from everything right now.
I don't even know what's coming out in the movie theaters anymore. I just don't.
Yeah.
Well, HBO's been picking a lot of those shows up anyway, so you can just watch them on HBO.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you got a lot of stuff. I know Rick and Morty just came out with a new season on HBO Go and stuff like that. So I got to catch up on everything. I feel like it's a constant catch up. You're never going to be caught up on any of it, You know what
I started watching that I never would have watched before?
What's that?
Modern Family.
Really? I actually enjoyed Modern Family for a long time.
Actually really funny.
Dude, Sofia Vergara is fucking hilarious to me. She's like,
great.
She's like, you know, the thing with the taka 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 taka. He's like, oh, the helicopter. She's like, yeah, the that. It's like, that shit just fucking tickles me pink because I have family that talks like that. So I'm just like, that is fucking right on point,
She's great. They did a really good job with that show. And it's like a show that I always brushed under the rug. Like, I'm never going to watch that.
Yeah.
But we've completely ran out of things to watch. Yeah. And I think we were watching something else. And Hulu has that feature that when you're finished watching something, it'll just play something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that show came on. And I was like, wow, that first episode was actually kind of funny. And then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. So that's what we've been watching.
Well, I've always had a celebrity crush on that mom too. Ever since she was in Happy Gilmore.
Really?
Yeah, she's the lady from Happy Gilmore. She's the publicist for the PGA Tour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Emma Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Her. Okay. Noted.
Yeah.
Noted.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's really been what we've been up to. Like, just I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the past 2 months have been baby. Like, they've just been baby. So like when we get the chance to sit down,
kind of lucky with the pandemic going on. You've had something to distract you for 9 months.
It's been
more now that the baby's born.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been amazing. We've been doing. I know you listen, but like Parentally Unprepared is my other podcast that I do with the wife.
Awesome.
And it's been fun. We've continued doing it. I think we've only missed 1 week because like the first week I went back to work was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I bet.
It's insane. I'm actually super jealous right now because I told you I went back to work in office full time this week. So that no more working from home. The wife got word that she will be working from home at least for the next 30 to 90 days. And when they do go back, she only has to be in office 2 days out of the week. So, dude, she's like got the setup. I'm like, fuck, man.
It is amazing though that like for you, I actually thought they would maybe keep you doing that, but a lot of workplaces have adopted remote working because they actually find that people are a lot more productive at home than they are in the office.
Absolutely.
And the amount that they save by not having to buy office supplies, utilities, renting a space,
all
having
that stuff.
Office, like it all goes out the window for them. It's just savings for them. And they're not giving it back to the employees and raises, you know what I mean? So it's
not
just
at all.
Money in their pocket.
Like it gets to the point sometimes where I'm just kind of like, I'll take, and I wouldn't do this because I'm sure like Crystal here, this would be like, I'm like, I'll take less money to not go to work. Like I'll take a little bit less money to just stay home, hang out with my kid.
I think that's something that I don't take it for granted, but like I walk across my hallway to go to work.
Oh, it feels good, right?
It does.
I like rolling out of bed at 7:55 and being like, open up the laptop. You're like,
okay, well, I can't do that.
Yeah, you got some getting ready. I'm not getting on camera, so
right.
That helps a ton.
Yeah, but it's nice. It is kind of weird with the whole pandemic, though. It has taken some adjustments. And speaking of excuses, the pandemic was like, hey, you want to do? Nope, can't.
Stop. Sorry. Being careful. Being careful. Even now.
Do it.
Even now, sometimes I'm just kind of like, sorry, we're just not ready to do that yet. Got a new baby. Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Sorry.
You can't do it.
Before we get out of here, I guess I need to ask you, like, what? Obviously, you just made partner. Congrats again.
Thanks, dude.
You've been doing Hunt Showdown. You've been doing some more variety, which has been nice, and actually holding good numbers with variety, which has been cool.
I'm happy about that. That makes me really happy because I do like all video games.
What like how do you see the next year being? Like, are you just gonna kind of see like you're very by the seat of your pants person, so it's like
I've been like trying to push myself to have goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 things that I had on my list of things that I wanted to do this year is I wanted to become a Twitch partner and I wanted to become a Hunt Showdown partner. Those were like the 2 things that I had on my list. So I guess once we hit the next one, then I will start figuring the rest out. But I don't know, just keep growing, Like, I don't know how long this is going to last. How long can I play video games? How long, you know what I mean?
How long are people going to be interested? Like, because people just naturally move on from things. Yeah.
It's scary. Like one day you could have 100 subs. The next day you're going to have 2. The industry is so bad because you're constantly relying on, I've talked to you and I have talked about this a million times, but Twitch is one of those things where you do not know what your revenue is going to be that month. It's impossible to know. You're never going to know what your paycheck is going to be. Your paycheck solely relies on your viewers understanding that what they are watching is entertainment and that they tip you accordingly.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you have people in your stream that'll never give you a dime. And that's okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
That's fine. But it is nice to, that some people feel that connection enough that they want to support you. They want to help you. They understand what you're doing is entertainment and that you entertain them on a daily basis. And that they want to help you continue do that. But I don't know how long that will last. I'm just kind of riding that train until I can't, you know?
No, that makes sense. Absolutely. We've got a few of the similar people, a few of the same people in our communities that do that, you know, that feel that way about the things that even I do. I'm just doing it a couple of days a week. And you're kind of like, wow.
But just having that little play money for your hobbies is great.
Yeah. Well, and the connection is wonderful. Like, I don't expect anything from anyone, but like just the fact that people show up on such a regular basis and they're just like happy to be there. I'm glad.
Insane.
I'm happy to give people a place to show up to. You know, it just
Some
feels
people are
really
there
good.
from when I start at 11 a.m. to when I end at 5 p.m.
It's like, wild. Yeah.
Some people are there to say good morning to me. Some people are there to say good night to me. And to me, that is just such a commitment. Like, how can you expect that much time from somebody? Like, time is very valuable, whether people think it or not. It truly is.
It really, it's one of those things like you don't understand until you see people spending that amount of time hanging out. You're like, wow, that person really cares about being here. Like, you know, and then when they at the same time you have those folks that also understand, like, I get it, man. If you can't stream today, no worries. Like, no big deal. Like, they're not going to hold it over your head. Like, I'm a sub. What are you not doing here? You better get here. Like, I'm sure those people do show up and those people do exist.
I mean, I have had to say that, like, you know, just because you tip or whatever, it doesn't give you any special privileges. Okay.
No, none. It gives you none. And I think that you do a good job. I think a lot of the people that I follow and watch do a good job of being like, look, if you're going to be a shithead, like, I'd rather you just not be a sub. I'd rather you just not be here. And that's okay. Like, that's all right. And I think, honestly, your audience appreciates that, because then they don't have to suffer that person either. Because if they're being that shitty to you and you're the main person that's running the channel, like, how shitty are they being to people?
House.
Right. How shitty exactly. How shitty are they being to the other people in chat? Like, they're probably being shitty or you know, not paying any attention. You know, it's just kind of not being considerate. And that's one of my pet peeves, like being inconsiderate and inviting yourself to things. Like, I can't stand it. Like, when someone invites themselves along, like, I'm okay. I'm okay now, but man, when I was younger, dude, when someone we would go to a concert with a bunch of friends and someone would invite themselves, I'd be like, how dare you?
Why is this person coming with us?
How dare you assume that I want you here? Like, like, it's one of those things.
But you did it.
But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes you didn't. But I really appreciate you doing this. I feel like it's been a long time coming, and we need to do it again, and all that good stuff. But you can check out Kerrty on Twitch, twitch.tv/Kerrty. She streams Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekends. She's got a wonderful community, a lot of really cool people, a lot of people that I'm close with and that I have a good time hanging out with. So definitely check her out. You can also follow her on all the things at Kerrty Plays. That's Instagram, that's Twitter, that's all that stuff. Still TikTok? Are you doing TikTok still?
Yeah.
No,
sure.
That's a no.
I sure am.
Yes.
I uploaded like one video like a week ago, but I'm working on it. Okay, I'm working on it.
It's always a work in progress, as long as you're edging toward it, right?
I'm old. I don't know how to work these platforms.
I'm so old. I'd rather not do it.
It's been 84 years.
I'd rather not do it. But yeah, I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, man. No, I appreciate it.
We'll do it again really soon, and we'll do some games soon too.
Sounds good.
All right. You can check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Lopez Radio. And you can check out my social medias at Lopez Radio. I'll see you guys very soon. I also have another podcast. Look it up, Parentally Unprepared. A lot of fun. Anyway,
It's
you guys,
so good.
thank you. Take it easy. Bye.